This week's episode is brought to you by NYXI and their Hyperion Pro Joy-Cons for Nintendo Switch. The Hyperion Pro is the best Joy-Con replacement we've tested to date. They look fantastic, they feel better than stock Joy-Cons, and the Hall effect sticks ensure longevity of them will outlast Nintendo's offering, as well as other third-party brands that still suffer with the dreaded drift issues. The super comfortable and ergonomic grip allow for easy long-time gaming. The programmable RGB lights mean you can customize the controller to your particular taste, and the gamer's reflex macro buttons are available to give you an edge. Plus, the GameCube-inspired purple option and the green Legend of Zelda-inspired variant really make the controller stand out. All this, and using promo code PvP, you can get 10% off. Head over to NYXIGame.com or use the link in the description. Hello, welcome to A Podcast for This Player, episode 287. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man who was asked if he had any pets, and he said a goldfish. He was then asked any hobbies, and he said, yeah, he loves swimming. That's a good joke.
That's a really good joke. Fucking hell.
Who said if you play Nickelback backwards, you hear Satan? Even worse, if you play it forward, you hear Nickelback. Saying bloody Dan.
Good evening.
Good evening. It is sweltering, mate.
Not bloody wrong.
Literally sweating.
28 degrees when I was getting the train back because I only had a half day today for reasons that we'll go into. It's currently 24 degrees at 7:30, Callum. And whilst I know that there's people listening to this in much hotter areas of the earth, they're going to be like, so fucking what? I'd pay for it to be that cool. We are not made for this country. I mean, we are.
The heat.
The heat is not. See, it melts our brains because we have no infrastructure for it.
We have nothing, and apologies for any extra sounds throughout the episode. But I've got a fan going. Dan's got windows open. Yeah. But we need to stay cool and hydrated as much as possible, Dan. So I've gone with a nice cold bottle of Desperado.
Well, because I'm being healthy and going back to the gym and that again, I'm on just water.
Well done, Dan.
That's not a brand.
Just water. It's vodka. Anyway,
no, that
Dan.
would be absolute water.
Absolute water. That's, I'm sure that's a thing already, isn't it? Anyway.
No.
We digress, Dan, because we got no news, only one specific thing. Deadpool and Wolverine has been watched. It's been enjoyed by many. It's been disliked by many as well, I assume. But with a budget of $200 million and a current, as of today, box office return of $496.4 million, regardless of what people think of it, it's doing pretty fucking well.
So far, so good. Yeah, absolutely.
I went to see it opening day by accident. I was meant to go the day after, but that's a story for a different time. And I was very much looking forward to it. You've been and seen it now. And I have waited. I haven't spoke about this with anyone.
Well, and it's been I got out of the cinema literally 1 hour ago. That's when the end of the credits finished, and that is when I left because I went with my mate Rick in front of the show, and was like, "What time is it?" And he's like, 6:30. I was like, "Okay, that works." Because by the time I get home, I'll be ready for you, and I can just get this all out of me as soon as possible.
Perfect.
Exactly. So, first things first, obviously we'll be discussing Deadpool Wolverine in some detail, so spoilers ahead. So if you're not, there's probably not going to be anything else in this podcast, so if you haven't seen it and don't want to, don't bother. Go back and watch some of the old ones. Not from number one, because...
listen to some old ones while you're watching the movie at the cinema.
No, I wouldn't do that. A waste of everyone's time and effort. But obviously we will be discussing it, so spoilers. And first things first, Callum, as I like to find out before we kind of get into the main chunks of it, what was your cinema experience like?
Very good. So picture this, Dan, opening day. So we got it a day before America, which is a weird turn that never normally happens.
Correct.
But I went opening day. It is the summer holidays for the schools. Mm-hmm. I know it's not for kids, but kids would be going to the cinema, and that's
it's
Despicable Me and stuff and whatnot. My nephew was there, I didn't even know. He shouted at me when we were coming out, and I was like, "Oh, you're right. Just been to see Deadpool." He went, "Yeah, no, I saw you." What? He goes, "We sat like a few seats behind you." I was like,
I can't believe that it wasn't an 18. I don't understand.
I genuinely don't Because when I was looking back, like R-rated that's America's 18, isn't it? And the first Deadpool was, I'm fairly certain the first one was an 18.
Almost positive both of them were.
No, the second one was a 15.
I wouldn't have thought so with the violence and the language. I mean, what more do you need?
I don't know.
Maybe there's the qualification for a rating system as it dropped it down to like people getting their heads blown off and people calling each other cunt and whatever. That's not enough anymore.
Well, obviously we'll go more into the movie afterwards.
Are you sort of looking at like, this is actually going to traumatise children if they see this? It's like seeing Alien or something like that, and it's like you're going to... Like, this is like, you're not going to come away from that like shaking, like, oh my God, I can't believe that.
Yeah, no, but if you've gone in expecting, like, I don't know, Iron Man 1, then it's a lot different in that story here, superhero genre. But... Yes. Again, we'll talk more of the film in a second, but when the rating came up for it, say it was a 15, though we said, that's lower than I thought it was going to be, so it's not going to be as gory as the other ones. And then we went straight into that opening scene, which was pretty gory for a superhero movie, but cinema-wise, pretty dead. Yeah. There was probably, say, I don't know how many people you fit in there, just say 200 people. There was probably about 30. Real good. Really, really good as well. Yeah, but it was also, like I say, like 4 o'clock. So
that was our showing as well.
Yeah. But it had been, I only noticed when we came out, it was the only movie they showed all day.
Doesn't surprise me.
So from whatever time they opened to whatever time they closed, it was just Wolverine. So potentially we were just very lucky that it was that kind of like break period. All the people that mega wanted to see it went at like 10 a.m. or something like that.
Right, okay.
But yeah, cinema-wise, pretty good. How about yourself?
I went to a new cinema this time, suggested in my mate. He said it was comfy, plenty of leg room, which there absolutely was, so absolutely props to him. It's a bit more expensive, but you can eat like pizza and stuff in there. It's obviously cost a fucking fortune for that in itself, but it's a bit more relaxed. But I'd say there was probably about 15 people in there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, everyone shut up. Everyone just laughed. That was it. There wasn't anyone. I saw no light, no phone, like random phone.
Yeah.
And do you know what I actually liked was a touch? Intro trailers came on. Sort of going through these coming out, blah blah blah, and then all the lights went back up, and a guy walked in and said, "Right, we're just about to start the actual showing of Deadpool and Wolverine. I'd like to remind everyone, please do not have your phones on and don't talk through the picture or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, have a great day." And then, like, put the lights back down on his iPad and left. And I was like...
That's pretty good.
Good for you. Like, maybe that actually works, because I saw the woman in front just sort of, like, turn her phone over. So I was like, maybe that's what you just need. You just need to be like, hey, can everyone just do it now? Do it now, and then you don't have to bother anybody. But yeah, everyone
That's a good idea.
And it was just a genuinely great experience. Because I was... You know what I'm like? I hate going to the cinema because everyone there is just not there to watch a film usually. They're just there to be away from the drugs that they're usually inhaling. It's mental. So yeah, very happy with that. Given the fact that I managed to spend a significant amount of effort to try and avoid any spoilers.
Yeah.
There was 2 things that were spoiled, but not really. So I will specify those now, just for the sake of it. So again, last warning: spoilers for Deadpool. So, Sabretooth being in it and being played by the original actor from original X-Men. That was on a thumbnail on a YouTube video. Boo. So I just got onto YouTube and I was like, oh, okay, well that's a thing. So I haven't gone on YouTube in the last week because I can't trust it. I don't know what thumbnail's going to be on there. Again, I deleted Instagram off my phone because I was just like, if I go on Explore, if I go and look at, like, I know what Ryan Reynolds is like, posting fucking photographs of everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anything, even just innocuous, that will just sort of take away some of the experience. And I was doing something the other day, and on I've got a Google phone, I've got a fucking Samsung. But if you...
I like the Google News thing.
No. If you like swipe to the right on the main menu, it comes up with like the thing. and it's a picture of Ryan Reynolds with his arm round Wesley Snipes. And I was like,
fucking hell.
I didn't see it, and I went straight back, and I was like, that could be anything. That could be anything. It could just be that he's gone to see a football match. I'm not looking into it any further. And again, spoilers. And again, we're jumping ahead here. But when they walked through, and Elektra came out, and I was like, fucking hell, no way. And then he did, and I was like, that's still kind of great, but I'm a bit annoyed that one I would have been like, unbelievable. Were you lucky enough? But those are the only two things. Everything else was fresh as is.
I know pretty much all of them, but do you remember ages ago when I said, like, don't go on Facebook, don't go on Instagram or anything?
Yeah.
There's some leaked pictures from the set, and then Ryan Reynolds had then leaked some other pictures where he'd photoshopped different things in, so like he's holding up like an Aldi bag, or not an Aldi bag, but like a shopping bag and stuff. Right. I saw the first spoiler one, so I saw Sabretooth's head. So I was like, great, that's one. I already knew Elektra was in it. I didn't know Blade. That wasn't spoiled. What was another one? X-23. Yeah. That was spoiled. You could have kind of guessed she was probably going to be in it, but I didn't know. And it was the other week. It was the last trailer before the full film release. And I said, there's no trailer. Don't watch it. And don't go on Instagram. Because the first 3 things I saw was all screenshots of her from it. I was like, fucking brilliant. Cheers, guys. But this is what I don't get. And Kevin Feige has come out and said, since the release of this, they're going to be looking at doing less trailers for their upcoming movies. Because all you needed to do was have that original video of Ryan Reynolds just going, hey, Hugh, do you want to play Wolverine again? And he goes, yeah, sure, Ryan. And then just give us a date. Everyone will go and fucking watch it. Yeah. You don't need to do anything else. All of these really big fucking heavy hitting spoilers didn't need to be spoiled ahead of time.
No.
There's a couple of cool ones in there, so we're going to jump in. Shall we just go straight into the spoilers and cameos, or do you want to do that in a more organic thing?
Yeah, let's do that a bit later on, maybe. So I'm just trying to move my chair back without running
That's fine.
At the same time. Because she's in combat mode.
I am annoyed that it wasn't Ryan Reynolds doing the NSYNC dance.
I would be incredibly surprised if it was. And I think that if it was, he would have had the mask off, because I was like, that has to be a dancer, because he's still like 42 or whatever.
Well, I believe it's somebody from Skins. It's somebody from Skins who did a little bit of. This is what I've been informed. So he did a little bit of that dance on an episode of Skins on a rooftop, and then Reynolds saw it, and then that kid's, well, he's a guy, like, man now, but his agent contacted him and said, we need you to learn this dance, but we can't tell you what it's for, but it's going to be fucking huge. And then he's put all the stuff on, like, Instagram and TikTok and everything else, and he's like, this is all me learning the thing. And then it ends with the video that he sent to the Deadpool team. So it's like his interview, so to speak. And then obviously he got it, yeah. Audition would have been a better way of putting it. And accurate as well.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was him. But I'm in two minds with the opening. Like, it's a great opening. Like, it's a typical Deadpool opening. It fits in theme with the previous two. But where they promised they wouldn't desecrate the memory of Logan from the end of the movie Logan. And then that's kind of what they do anyway. But it doesn't specify that it's that version of Logan. There's obviously,
of course it is.
Well, no, because that same scenario where he dies has happened in all of them.
No, they show literal
in more
footage
than
from
one.
the movie. It's him.
Well, I don't know, because that was Feige's own words.
What?
That it's not. We haven't said categorically that it's that Logan.
Don't be stupid. Of course it is.
I mean, it's got to be. It has to be.
It's exactly the same. Of course it is. But that's just him getting himself a get out of jail free card of just like, we haven't said one way or another.
I was watching Screen Crush yesterday, and one of the things that they pointed out, which is true but it's stupid, is given the length of time between those films happening,
he wouldn't have decayed that much. No.
Well, not him. The actual wooden cross itself wouldn't still be there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would have gone long before his body would have. Yeah.
But his
unless
again,
it's just a really worm-filled part of the decoder or whatever it is.
Well, it's most likely. I mean, like in this film, like we've already mentioned her, but X-23, well, Laura, she's got like a more modified, well, customized version of an X-Men belt.
Yes.
So maybe her and the rest of the kids started their own team, and then they just go back every now and again, and they just make a new one.
What, from his
No, a grave, like the X.
Oh, right, I see, sorry.
Not make a new Logan, like put this one in.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good opening. Kind of set the theme for the not really holding back on the gore and swearing and stuff.
I think that's probably intentional, though, to be like, look, they say very quickly, it's like, yeah, fuck Fox, but we're done with that, we're done by Disney. However, here's as many words for cocaine as we could possibly think of. I strongly get the feeling that they just went, don't involve us. Just make it. We'll fund it. We'll give you whatever. You want to put Hercules in it, like the animated one. Whatever you want to do.
Imagine that.
Just do it and make sure it's good, so we can make a bunch of money off it. And if you can pull it off, then we know that this stuff can work. Like this dangerous, sweary, rage-filled gore fest, we can still put out as part of the MCU, and it works. So yeah, it like you say, solid opening. But then one thing that it did take me off guard. Cable's slider to take him through time. Are we also to believe then that this also slides through time and dimension?
Well, that was already explained though. Kind of, because I had this thought yesterday. So in like Doctor Strange has already said he can't jump with the, I forgot what they're called, the things they put on his fingers.
Sling.
Yeah, that can't go to other dimensions. It can go to multiple places, but it can't dimension hop.
Sure.
But in Deadpool, when he does take Cable's thing, he goes to DC. He goes to back in time to Fox to kill Deadpool. Again, he kills Ryan Reynolds before he does Green Lantern, etc., etc., which would insinuate that can go to different dimensions because that's not part of the Fox universe.
Maybe.
That's the only way I would argue it.
But I'm pretty sure he said like it's specific. Like he was just like this device allows me to slide through time. He didn't say it's time and dimension.
He didn't, but it was also fucked, and he only had enough juice to go back one way, and then Kamiko and Thingy tinkered around with it, and obviously they're smarter than Beast and Yukio. Sorry, I'm thinking of fucking the boys.
The boys, yeah.
So that's what I mean, and then we've got the people from the boys coming in. But they tinkered around with it, and obviously they're smarter than Reed Richards and Tony Stark and everyone else.
Of course.
But whatever they did, now he can just go wherever he wants. And that's the only explanation I'd have for it. Yeah. But obviously it can, and he has. But yeah. So a lot of the stuff I want to talk about is a little bit later on. So, just on a scale of just general, did you enjoy it, did you not enjoy it? What's your feeling at the moment? Especially as you're quite fresh, because it was only a little bit ago.
Yeah, I'd say that like a definitive kind of this is where I feel I am at with it would probably be safer after I've watched it again. Probably won't, like when it pops up on Disney Plus, I guess, because I'm still kind of buzzing off the hype.
Yeah,
and just sort of like from the experience of it and just coming out of it, just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, yeah, kind of no notes. I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. I genuinely enjoyed pretty much everything. Like every joke landed, every fight was like balletic almost.
Yeah.
Like they were long, sort of like John Wick-esque, long tracking, clearly well choreographed, well thought through. Especially like when they're fighting in a car and then they're fighting in the streets,
with the seatbelts and stuff.
Yeah, like there's a lot of effort that goes into just sort of making these very small little fight scenes very memorable for their own rights.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of attention that's gone into making sure it's right. It's not just sort of like here's a person, here's another person. Oh my god, don't forget this person, and just sort of like trying to blind you with nostalgia and other cool bits. There's things for it to very much stand on besides all of that.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. And yeah, I came out of that not thinking, oh god, another one. I was just like, maybe this is the one.
It's back on track.
Maybe it's kind of back on the rails again. And I mean, they literally said it in the movie. You're just sort of like, oh my god, this, I feel like everything's been on track since Endgame. It's like, no, because we all know that it hasn't been. Like, we know that this is the one to kind of right the ship.
He says it to Logan when he's like, welcome to the MCU. Joined at a bit of a low point, but... See,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
I loved it. I mean, and obviously, it's tattooed on my chest. My son's named after... I fucking love Wolverine. And like the first two Deadpool films are really good. And I don't think this is perfect. I watched it, and even without seeing it for a second time yet, I'm aware that there is flaws to it, but it doesn't negate from the fact of how much I enjoyed it. And I've seen a lot of puff pieces, IGN, where it's from the way I've seen it, I've read both of them. I see them as, well, everyone loves it, so we're going to say it's shit. And then everyone's clicking on it, and it's and it's interacted, and people calling them out and stuff. And people are allowed to not like things, but a lot of the things that people are picking out the movie for, this isn't as good as The Godfather. It's not fucking meant to be. It's a superhero film.
I would never sit there and say that this is one of the best films that's ever been made.
But that's what I mean. Yeah,
but this is the uptick. This is the upturn. This is. It's all kind of been meandering. Again, it's pretty much true, but they've not really had a place to go outside of like Loki. Guardians, I guess, but Guardians is already kind of like really well established, and it was very unlikely that it was going to be bad.
I think with Guardians though, I agree with it's like the closest thing in terms of like a little bit edgy compared to some of the other stuff. And I think of the newer MCU films post Endgame, I think it'd be between this and Guardians. And I think Guardians is better in terms of story, middle, and end. But this is way more enjoyable.
Yeah,
and I would watch this more.
Weight to Guardians, like again, that film felt earned to a degree. There was payoff to it, there was heart to it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of what else has been out since then. Like Multiverse of Madness, that was fine.
It's okay.
I did enjoy it.
Marvels.
There was a musical number in it, Cal. I can't get past that. It was fine, but it was just sort of like, this feels like we need to just get this done.
Yeah.
We just need to get it out the door because we've got the X-Men back, we've got Fantastic Four back. We think that this is probably getting knocked on the head now. So let's
that's been this whole phase though, hasn't it?
Kinda, yeah. It's a bit meandering.
Tripping over themselves to just get this next one released. I mean, this is great. Like I say, it's not perfect. There's a few things I'm not unhappy with. Just like, I wish this had happened.
Well, there's only one of those that I have personally.
Oh, go on, yeah.
No, I'd like to hear yours if that's okay.
My main one, this does jump ahead a little bit where we get to see some of the other Wolverines. So as long as you're happy with a few spoily things now, or we can do it later.
Make a note.
Right, come back to it.
Make a note.
So one thing I will say, from the trailers, we had a giant man in there, which is Cassandra's base of operations. We wasn't sure which one it was. And I saw a comment earlier, and it never occurred to me, but in Quantumania, there's a giant man running, and he gets spaghettified. It's probably that one. And then he reaches up, and then it goes away.
What?
In Quantumania, there's a giant man that gets spaghettified in the quantum realm. And because this was before Loki...
I only remember him going Giant Man once when he was breaching the fortress, like the wall where he's bringing all the... They were doing like the main attack thing.
Yeah. It's before, I think. I'll send you the clip later.
Yeah, do, because I absolutely don't remember. Like, there wasn't multiple Ant-Men running around.
Yeah, there was a few. Oh, wait, no, was it not Quantumania?
No, I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of when he was like, he goes into like the quantum realm, and like there's a million Paul Rudds all like tripping over each other.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a giant man there. It was just there was 100 billion of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, they had the clip for it. But when obviously that happened was before Loki and everything.
Yeah, sure. So he would have still been pruned, technically, yeah.
Technically, yeah. And obviously everything's going to the void. Also, I forgot to look yesterday, but we made a joke on one of the previous episodes that the reason, like basically, the void would be the shit, where all the shit's gone that nobody wants. And we made a joke, and I will find the exact clip and maybe put it in this episode or something else. But we say, wouldn't it be funny if it's all gone to shit because Hugh Jackman left and they just fend for themselves kind of thing?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
saying
we did a genuine conversation. It'll be on whichever podcast it was where we talked about either the first or the second trailer, one or the other.
Right.
But yeah, offhanded comment that turned out to be pretty fucking accurate.
Yep.
But what else have we got? Because I've got a few notes I've already made, but they
far
quiet. Well, they're all related to spoilers and cameos more than anything else. But what was your nitpicky thing? If you want to do that first,
don't mention the Punisher if you're not going to put the Punisher in it.
I mean, you had two.
Where'd you get the rocket launcher from? The Punisher, really? And you didn't think to roll him out? You've got John Bernthal ready to go, and I'm sure that if Ray Stevenson was still with us, I bet they would have got him in to do that, because he's still obviously working a lot with Disney at that point with Thor and all that, and he was doing Ahsoka.
Thomas Jane or anybody, any of them would have done it.
I reckon if you'd rolled out Tom Jane, he would have. That would have been a great one. But I think John Bernthal, maybe it's because they're like, well, we're going to use him. Like, he's going to probably come back in Daredevil, so we don't want to have him in a disused bin. Like, the Tom Jane one makes way more sense.
Oh, no, because even his, though, because his is the only one. Like, we know he is coming back, but it hasn't gone, he's going to be in Daredevil. He's going to have his own show. It's just that the Daredevil, Kingpin, and some of the other supporting cast will be coming back. So technically, you could just say this is the Netflix one. That's why he's in the void.
No, I'd say that Tom Jane would make more sense, because it's sort of like it's relics of the past. Like, Marvel's stumbling, trying to figure out what the hell they were doing, or Fox figuring out what they were trying to do. Elektra showing up. I would never have called that. Yeah. Never in a million years.
Would have been a great surprise.
When she came in, I was just like, does that mean that the next one through the door is going to be fucking Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck. That would have been such a good get.
I would have shit my pants if Ben Affleck had been there in the fucking Daredevil suit.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they must have asked him. They must have.
I reckon he's just sort of like, after the Batman thing, are you fucking kidding? I'm not putting on a suit.
Then again, he doesn't need the money, does he?
Also, I don't know if he's very sort of like, he can poke fun at himself and just be like, yeah, I'm a relic, and, it was all shit anyway, wasn't it?
I don't know. I mean, like, he went back to do, like, Clark's 2. He was popped up in that.
Yeah, it's true. But I think that's more because he's mates with Kevin Smith more than anything.
I suppose, yeah. But if Jennifer Garner's going to show up, like, there's no reason not to. But except they wouldn't be able to use the joke about them being divorced. Well, I don't think it would have landed as well if.
Oh, I see.
If he was there.
Yeah. No, that's probably true. It would have been a bit.
We did have a thing where, again, we talked about it on the podcast, but I said, if we get Channing Tatum as Gambit, I'm fine as long as it's only in this movie. I can live with that. I don't want this to branch off to be anything else.
I thought he was doing his 21 Jump Street Spanish impression. Like, because I thought it would get about 5 minutes into him talking it, and Deadpool would just go, "Can you just drop the accent? Like, you can't do it. Can you just talk normally? We all know who you're meant to be now. It's fine. You tried. You failed. Let's just move on." Yeah. Like, the suit is amazing.
It looked good except for the head.
But that's the thing. It's the same as, unfortunately, mate. It's the same as the Wolverine mask. It doesn't look good in real life.
It worked fine if it was real. Because that's CGI.
Of course it is.
And I don't know why they didn't do a real. Why didn't they just do a fucking real one?
I think because it looks so ridiculous.
Nah.
I just don't think you can do that. And
bat in the sun. Theirs is perfect.
Again, you wouldn't be able to walk through a door without clonging your head off every fucking door frame as you were going through it.
It looks fine. I loved it. I think it. Again, take it into a fact that you go, it's not perfect, but I fucking love it. It's the same as again when we touch on it. There's one of the variants that I wish was somebody else, and we'll touch more on that when we get to it. But yeah, the Cal looked fine. The problem with Channing Tatum's is he, and I don't mean this in a way that he's like thinking from the fucking Goonies, but he hasn't got that sex appeal that Gambit's got. And he's.
But he's not. This isn't supposed to be. This is the perfect casting. This is a relic of an idea, because he was saying, he was just sort of we never got a chance to have an ending, and he was like, or a beginning.
Yeah.
It's he was idea cast, he was, but he was almost immediately discarded. So the fact that we see him as he probably would have looked, and if they'd have been playing him in that costume, which they wouldn't have because he would have looked worse, but if they'd have been playing him in that costume, doing that accent 15 years ago, it would have been absolutely terrible.
The choreography was pretty good for his actual fights.
He was great. Just sort of zipping cards around and stuff was great. And he had his staff and stuff, which is, again, wonderful.
Just made more sense for it to be Taylor Kitsch. That just made more sense.
No, I don't feel that anyone needs to see that again.
I'll be honest, with the exception of the suit, he was a better Gambit.
What, Channing Tatum?
No, Taylor Kitsch was a better Gambit than.
But again,
Channing
that was
Tatum.
done in. Yeah, that was done in seriousness. No,
it wasn't good.
Taking the piss.
but like I said back in the other podcast, if it's for this one, I'm fine with it. It's one of them fan castings, same as John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. We got it once. Unfortunately, in that instance, that's all we're getting. But in this case, I can live with it. It's okay. It's not too bad. Yeah. Wesley Snipes managed to get his. Some motherfuckers just always trying to skate uphill.
Yeah, there was a bit of a sort of like a very under the current. Wee when he said that, everyone was all like, "Hey, the line, that sweet line that you did from 30 years ago."
But there is a good portion of the people watching it that probably never watched Blade.
Maybe they're just like, "What's he sound? What the fuck's he doing here?"
And I don't know. And again, you probably can't answer it. But the line when he was like,
"So wasn't Jennifer Garner in Blade Trinity?" No, is that Jessica Biel I'm thinking of? Sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure she wasn't.
No, that would have been great if she had shown up as someone from Blade and Elektra at the same time.
But we got it like Deadpool had took his mask off. He's just like, that's a fucking vampire. Because obviously he was in.
Oh my god! Why did they not do anything with that?
Supposedly,
why did they go? Oh, I recognise you. Did we work together?
It would have made more sense if they'd have saw Nice Paul. Obviously, it's Ryan Reynolds' face. It's probably
that's true,
less likely to recognise him as disfigured Deadpool. But yeah, that's only just popped into that.
Of course he was in
but there's a line, I can't remember the exact thing he says, but it's like, there's only one blade. Or there's only been one blade.
Yeah,
but there was a TV show, but do you think that was a dig to the new casting and that has been pushed back, or do you think it was just a dig at the TV show?
I don't think it was a dig. I think it was him saying, "Oh, I'm going to be the only Blade," or "I'm the only Blade," or whatever. And Deadpool's like, it's like, "You're not, mate, because you have been recast, and you were a bit salty about it initially, but now you're cool. Hence the reason you're in the movie." Yeah, I don't think there was any malice in that. And apparently he was a fucking prick to work with anyway when they were working on Blade Trinity. So part of me is sort of like, did they reconcile? Are they all now?
I saw a thing today with Wesley Snipes saying that he got the call after like 20. He got a call from Ryan like 20 years later, and he was like, and he even says he was like, which was odd because we fucking hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But said what it was for, and he was like, I don't think you can make this happen. But if Disney get behind it, Marvel get behind it, then let me know. We'll see what we can do. And then whenever it was, he got back to it, and he's just like, they're all for it if you are. And it's just like, yeah, then I'll do it. But I also think a lot of that is, if Wesley Snipes was as big now as he was back then, he wouldn't have done it.
You're probably right.
Ryan's the flavour of the month. I was going to say flavour of the month, but flavour of the last however many years. He can seemingly do no wrong. And that's not Snipes. And I think this is the first thing he's been in since What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Yeah. As Blade, he'll just never shake it.
On a Skype call.
No, didn't he come back and do it in real life as well? I'm sure he came back.
I'm pretty sure he was on a Skype call.
He did.
I could be wrong
initially, but I might be wrong actually. But I could have sworn that he came back when they were doing like another Vampire Council meeting. He could have done, and it's just gone over my head. Maybe.
But like you say, it's just Blade. He's not back as Wesley Snipes. But they also wanted to get like Robert Pattinson in as Edward from Twilight and stuff. I think that would have been hilarious. But anyway, seeing as we already said some of them, should we jump into the some of the cameos?
No, because
or do you want to stick with story beats?
Well, you were saying that there was things that you didn't like. So I got a mention of the Punisher without any Punisher. They weren't driving the battle van.
No, because some of mine refer to the cameos. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
So,
go for it.
Well, my main one is we got to see comic accurate Logan.
Ridiculous.
Like 5'3", but they should have gone with the fan casting and had Danny DeVito.
That's a step too far, I think. That's a step too far. You definitely couldn't get away with that.
I reckon he'd have been up for that.
No.
So that was one. Mainly because it just seemed like they'd done... I forgot the chap who plays him. But when they did MODOK in Quantumania, and they just stretched his face...
Yeah, it didn't look great, did it?
And that's what it's like. They just like squashed and widened and squashed.
Well, they clearly just found a body double and then just pasted his face onto it.
Just didn't look right.
It's like a 3-second throwaway joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Perfecting it.
I would have found it equally as funny if it had been Danny DeVito, or rest in peace if he was still with us, Bob Hoskins, who was originally cast in the Bryan Singer X-Men thingy. But and then we get to see my favourite Wolverine suit, the tan and brown suit.
That one looked great.
It looks amazing. It looked better than the one that they used for the whole film.
Kind of.
And my gripe with it being, you get to see Hulk reflection in the blades, which I'm pretty sure, and we'll have to wait for it to come out again, I'm pretty sure that's the Hulk Raw from Ragnarok.
I'm pretty sure it's the one from Avengers, actually. I think it's from the first one.
It might be
like
when
the camera's panning around.
Could be that
I think it's
one.
just when the camera's in, he's just screaming into the air. I think it's that one.
But my gripe with it being, because I love that's a nod to one of the comic books, and then Deadpool says, "That's the suit you wear with your first fight with the Hulk." It's not. That's the wrong suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the yellow and blue one. That's the first one he wears.
Oh, wow.
And back then, his claws wasn't part of his skeleton; they were part of his gloves.
Is that like we're going like back to like the 70s?
Yeah, his first appearance, because he says that's your suit you wear in your first fight with the Hulk, and they're right with the comic book cover that they're using for that reflection. That is the yellow and tan suit, tan and brown suit. But his actual first fight is a different one, and it's the yellow and a variation of the yellow and blue one.
Have you double-checked that?
Yeah, 100%. I've got it. It's framed in my bedroom. I know what it is. A reprint, not the original, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's back before you could see his eyes. So the eye holes, which are white, you can just see his eyes through them, and the cowl bit's like that big compared to this big. But yeah. So that annoyed me. That was basically it.
What was the one in the alleyway? Like a weird grizzled, massive mane of hair one.
One hand. The one-handed one.
One hand or not?
Yeah, with a black and red suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say from Age of Apocalypse. That is.
Fucking hell,
So
we get that.
to be fair, in that one, he gets I won't go too deep into it, but he gets experimented on, and he's basically got near enough indestructible skin. But Cyclops lasers optic blast his hand off, and then that's why he said he got one hand. But then later on, he gets like an upgrade, so he gets like an energy claw.
Jesus.
So it's basically like a lightsaber.
Right.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool suit.
Yeah.
One of my predictions was Patch was Daniel Radcliffe. Obviously, it wasn't.
But it was him though.
It was Mr. Jackman. But we got to see Patch, so that was pretty cool. Who else did we have? No, I thought there was somebody else before. I thought we had another Wolverine before that. But yeah, we got the Calverine. But I thought we missed one. I don't think we have though.
I don't think so. No, there was Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, yes.
He blows him through the fucking portal again with the shotgun.
Yeah. And we get the Calverine, which I'll be honest,
didn't see that coming. But
I wouldn't have called it.
I was like, oh, I don't know. He looks too much like Henry Cavill. He's too handsome.
I'll be honest.
Like from the back, I was like, fucking hell. Have they just got a body double in for his him working on a motorbike from X-Men Origins or whatever? And then as soon as he turned around, I was like, never would have guessed that. Never in a million years. How the fuck did they get him to do that?
Well, he's signed on to something, isn't he?
I was going to say, he must just be because he's out of contract with like anything, competing stuff with like DC or whatever. Because clearly he's just sort of not that thing on the head.
They've already signed him, haven't they? Signed him late last year for something we don't know. Probably Captain Britain, I'll be honest, but we don't know.
I'll fucking take it if that's again. He's absolutely enormous.
He's perfect for a superhero role or a villain role, whatever. And in the same way that the only reason I don't like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, so he's perfect, like 'cause I love Hugh Jackman, is obviously the height thing, and he's too good looking. They're the only problems, and they're the exact same problems with Henry Cavill.
He's even bigger,
he's
taller, and even more handsome now.
However, I don't hate it.
With the whiskers,
now I've seen it. Yeah.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I still think that he's too much of a face to be cast now.
Yeah, this won't be that one.
With this sort of like, because again, it wasn't as if they went for like alternate castings and stuff like they did with the Flashpoint thing, where it was just sort of like there was other Batmen and like other actors that played Batman that were in it. I would have called Radcliffe again, being sort of like a fan casting thing. But yeah, I was so good to see him. I was just like, as he was sort of like visiting different ones, I was like, is he assembling a team? Is there going to be like 9 of them?
That would have been a fucking great. Even if they did like an X-Force where they all die. But, that was the other one. Wolverine from Fever Dream, when he's crucified on the X after the Reavers have got him.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was from.
Well, you know, in Logan, you got the guy with the robot hand.
Donald Pierce. Yeah.
Well, they're from that's in the comics. That's the Reavers, and basically
they're called the Reavers in Logan as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that they're very different in the comics, and in that they basically crucify him and then try to just test his the longevity of his healing factor and blah 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 blah. But yeah, I knew there was another one we missed.
Yeah. Right.
But I think it would have been I'd say cheap in the loosest of terms because it's still doing quite expensive. But that's a cheap way of testing new replacements. So you go...
Yeah, if you'd have gone Cavill, if you'd have gone Radcliffe and just been like, who do people respond to? Who are they interested in?
Yeah, and which ones actually work as well. And because realistically, Cavill would be fine, but I can't see him being any worse or better than Hugh Jackman. They're effectively the same breed.
As weird as it might sound, I don't think he's grubby enough.
Nah, Jackman's still got that feral nature to it, like feeling.
It's a bit, like where he's screaming at him in the car. Like there's still like some really good fucking acting from Hugh Jackman here. Like genuinely props to him. But yeah, I think you're right. But I also, as an actor, if I was an actor, I wouldn't want to be sort of like put to an audience vote, like the fucking X Factor. Just be like,
no.
Oh well, you didn't test well, so you don't get the job.
I don't mean it like that. I just mean like that's as a studio you can go. I mean, on paper, Daniel Radcliffe was pretty good, but now after seeing him, and he doesn't seem like he wants to be there, kind of thing, and it's more of a payday situation. I don't know how it would pan out. Personally, I think Radcliffe would do a pretty good job, but I want them to pick no one for the next one.
I'd say for all of them, like just start with a brand new, like a whole team of unknowns, maybe one just that people recognise, just to kind of get some people in through the door, because people are fickle and they will just go wherever the handsome person or the beautiful woman is. So you may want one or two that people would recognise, but they need to be a launching platform for all the unknowns.
Yeah, I mean that would be your, again, this person's Professor X. There's your name character, or Henry Cavill's Cyclops, and everyone else is an unknown. Like that, like say you have one big name, and then everyone kind of branches off that. But I do think we've got Jackman back for Secret Wars. I'm pretty sure he's coming back for that.
I don't know, because like right at the end, he's like, "Oh, does this mean we're going to be working together?" And he's like, "Probably not."
Yeah, but then later on, they're at his house.
What do you mean?
He goes back to Deadpool's.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it could that could just be him saying, "I came back to do one because I wanted to do one, but you can't just Marvel me now forever. Wait, I don't know, you can milk me."
They got you till you're 90. That's what he said repeatedly. Yeah. But I also think that also kind of reflects on somebody else as well that we'll touch on later on. But who else? I should have made like a proper list, Dan, and I didn't. Toad. So
so we got
back in the void.
Original X-Men's.
Is it though?
Villains.
What was it? Original Toad?
Yes, because I'm pretty sure it's the same actor as well. Because the guy who played Pyro is the original actor. The guy who played Juggernaut is obviously not Vinnie Jones. Although, frankly, sorry Vinnie, he's a better Juggernaut.
He was better.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I don't know if he was actually in a muscle suit.
I think he was just a big chap. I'll be
very
very honest.
Redefined and much more hyper-realistic.
Vinnie Jones was in a muscle suit.
Yeah, he 100% was. But this guy, either he was just shredded and huge, or they've worked on the muscle suit to make it way fucking better.
The only thing that looked bad was the helmet and armour, which would have been the same one they used from Thingy.
Probably, yeah, but it never looked good in the first place.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, this one was any worse. But we got Azazel was back, Lady Deathstrike was back.
Psylocke.
Psylocke was back. I'm pretty sure the Russian from the Punisher was the guy with the striped shirt. I'm pretty sure that was... I don't think... Not the original actor.
No, I was going to say, it was him. He's in the credits, but it's not the same actor.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Because as soon as I saw that stripy shirt, I was just like, no.
He managed to survive, but Punisher didn't.
Apparently, yeah. Who else? Sabretooth, obviously, is part of like Cassandra's little crew. I want to say there was another... two. I think
Callisto from Last Stand. The girl with the black hair. She's like the only one that speaks in... You know when Magneto's the underground and they're assembling the people? And she's just
the
like,
speedster?
Yeah.
But I know, I thought that woman was... I think it was Angel from First Class.
Nah, it's Callisto.
Oh,
it's in the credits.
Yeah. Well, no, I do remember her, but then why was she not super speeding all over the place and just killed them all?
Well, no, because I think didn't she have... I'm sure there's a reason. Didn't she have like her Achilles cut or something? It slowed her down.
No, Vinnie Jones got his Achilles slashed up.
Oh yeah, that was in this film, X23.
Yeah, at 23. Sorry, yeah.
24's Naughty Logan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was it for the main ones. Obviously, you've got Alioth. I could never say the name. The Cloud Monster from Loki. So, do you think that if Loki had walked a different way, he would have come across Cassandra.
Potentially, that would have confused the fuck out of him, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The fuck are you guys?
I'll tell you what, she was actually quite good. Like,
she was great.
Like, just again, it's a too much power into the powerful, and then they explode kind of end. But they set her up to a point where no one can really do anything with her. Like, you can't kill her.
I mean, the odds are she's not gone anywhere, and she will be back. But if she isn't, it's a really shitty way for one of the most powerful telepathic mutants in Marvel history to go out.
Just exploded in a big box of energy.
Yeah, there's a lot of other telepaths they could have used, because apparently the original villain for this story was our good friend, oh my god, Mephisto. He was going to be the villain for this story.
I don't know, Mephisto seems that's more, again, with Blade, with Ghost Rider, with Elektra, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, she got supernatural stuff.
Yeah, like demons and gods and science and magic and whatever.
But
he's more on the supernatural end of that. And I just think that Deadpool coming up against their equivalent of the devil, probably not a great mix, to be honest.
I don't think it would have worked the same. The reason it was kind of like I don't know, Monday, the idea is it's going to be Mephisto. Monday evening, they've gone, well, Jackman's in. Why don't we use Professor X's sister? Because then there's a link to Logan and stuff. And that's kind of what they went with in the end, obviously.
Maybe. But then that means that they've already considered him, which means that he's still in the running to be any big bad going forward. I mean, he's more of a cataclysmic kind of big bad.
But that's your Scarlet Witch scenario and Agatha and stuff. And I'll
tell you what, that's like all about Agatha or whatever that new show
looks
called.
Great.
that would be where I'd introduce him.
Yeah,
like her making a deal with him to get her powers back or something like that.
Which they might do. There's a lot of buzz around him showing up in season 1 of the one and only season of Wanda. Makes sense. Makes sense for it to be Agatha, but I don't know. But I think she did a really good job as Cassandra. She was a good, like a likable, impish villain, and I don't know.
Just tell me this then: how, when she was stabbed and shot multiple times, how can she survive that if she's just psychic?
Her body's not real. She made that body.
So, what, does she just exist as like an astral being?
Kind of, yeah. It's more like.
Then why would they be able to put a helmet on her?
I don't know. I'd say it wasn't perfect. Because I actually thought they were going to put the helmet on themselves to stop them from getting into their head.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was going to happen.
But I guess that makes the most sense, because if you put it on Logan, she'd just throw you across the room and then just take it back off.
Yeah.
Put it on her and then her psychic powers are gone.
It's no different than in, spoilers for X-Men 97, but when Magneto puts his helmet on Charles and it squeezes around his head, stops him. Stops.
Yeah, you fuck now, basically, yeah.
Which could have been, the end of this could have been, they put it on Logan's head, and then it's just exactly what you've just said, and they go, I don't know, we're going to get out of this. And then they watched 97 and went, that's what we do. But no, I liked her. I thought she was fun. Kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, I genuinely wanted to come back, because I think she's like a proper, actual, real threat.
Yeah.
Also, if you're in the TVA, why leave the TVA? If you're in charge of the TVA, you got all those soldiers and hunters or whatever, why in the fuck would you risk leaving the infinite safety of the TVA to then get your brain molested? But I love that effect where she's sort of like reaching around to people's brains and the fingers are just popping out of their heads and stuff. That's wonderful.
I was talking to a friend a while ago when the first trailer come out, and he'd asked about Cassandra, and I said, like, she's telepathic and stuff, but she has to get... It's not like Charles where he'll just put the things on the side of his head and he can do it. She has to get close, and she basically puts a fist in your face and stuff. I was like, I don't know if they'll do that in the film, because I don't know how they pull that off. And I'll be honest, like, some of the shots in the comics, they do make you go, ugh, just because of how visual it is. And they did a real fucking good job. Really, really good. That I don't like the fact that Pyro kind of double-crossed her. kind of in the same way that Thingy does in The Matrix. I had the same kind of vibe with the first. I forgot his name now.
Cypher.
Yeah. I had that kind of vibe about him. But why would you double cross a telepath?
Because she had the helmet on at that point, so he'd be like, "Haha! Now I can reveal my master plan."
But he'd been talking to Thingy for a long time. It hadn't just happened that day. That had been going on for ages.
True, but if he was because he was doing it at that little diner place, wasn't he? So maybe he just leaves the compound and then he's out of her sort of like immediate range and does it on the phone. Then.
Maybe.
But then that means that the TVA have got like an agreement with her that they'll just keep on, like Sakaar, I guess. They'll just dump all of their shit there. Anything that gets pruned will just end up with you. So there was like a helicarrier. I saw a Milano. There was
Fantastica.
The incredible Fantastica, like the 1960s ridiculous Fantastica. That whole sort of like, oh my god, it's like Mad Max, but we can't do that because that's like IP. And then it's like, literally the next shot is just
Furiosa.
Yeah, so good.
We've missed one of the biggest cameos as well.
I mean, I kind of again, I do really want to just sort of jump in on these because they are the best parts. But yeah, Chris Evans showing up in it. There was like the original 1940s shield that was just in the sand, and then when. He's just sort of like there's a bit of a sting which is like very sort of like Captain America-y, like with the trumpets and stuff. Yeah. And then he jumps off and then like he holds his hand out. It's like blue with the red, like with the red sort of like hand. And I was just like, oh okay, so they got like maybe like the original 1940s Avenger or whatever. Oh yeah, like you say, like in Avenger, he's like the Cap Hydra or whatever. And then he's just sort of like he goes flame on. I was like, oh my god, of course! Like how the fuck did I not see that come in?
See,
and I was like, it was all set up, and then just sort of like, haha, the other one.
I got it straight away, and Zoe said, she was like tapping my shoulder. She's like, Cap, it's Cap. And now he's got a cloak. Why would he have a cloak on if it was Cap? And it's Charlie Storm, and then flamed on. But the only thing that gave it away was the fact that he had a cloak to hide his suit. I was like, if it was just Cap, he'd just be in his suit. Yeah. Because it was only a couple of films ago we saw him. But that was the only thing. That was the only reason how I got that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. I'd have been more surprised if he just flew past and then landed. I'd have been, oh, fucking shit.
Well, at least they had the good sense with Krasinski to just have him teleport there and then.
Yeah,
so not got him, then you've got him. Like it's just like that.
Takes you from surprise.
Yeah.
That
was great though. Yeah, genuinely, like it's nice. I think they just sort of like it feels like they're just sort of cameoing in each other's films at this point. Because he was in fucking Free Guy as well.
He was in Free Guy as well, yeah. Yeah, he's like, come on.
But great to see him. I'm a bit annoyed that they didn't get some of the other Fantastic Fours. It's like any of the others.
That's what I mean. It's such a...
Like, if you got Evans as Johnny, and then you got, like... you get Michael Chiklis to come back and do the prosthetic thing rather than the CG thing, but then you get...
the newer
you get Miles Teller as Reed, or like you kind of hit a couple of them, and you get David Cross presumably as the Thing with his terrible Thing outfit from
Daddy needs to get his rocks off.
Have him as the Thing, and then like Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller. That would have been amazing.
But that would be dead similar though to again kind of off topic, but in the old Saturday morning Spider-Man cartoon. When they did like their version of like the Spider-Verse, you had like obviously our Peter Parker, Ben Reilly, Armored Spider-Man, which is like the silver and black one, blah blah blah, and he had one that's just an actor. He's got no powers. He's just he does Spider-Man movies, and that, you could have done the same thing, but these are all different fantastic like things from the Fantastic Four. And then you got this guy from Arrested Development. Like that'd have been amazing. I'd have loved that. I know. Yeah. A very small minority would get that joke.
But like, if the Russos were making it, they would have put it in.
Yeah.
You know, things that like, so the Dean from Community. He's obviously in Civil War, I think is. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then like, I think it's the stair car from the Blue stair car is in, because again, they worked on both of those. I think you could have got something a bit more. So it's Sean Levy that made this, wasn't it?
Sean Levy, yeah.
Because it does feel different from the other two, because it was Tim Miller that made directed both the first one, wasn't it? This does feel very different, but it's odd that they've. I don't know if it's just because they got Jackman, so they wanted to do Wolverine, but it's odd that they didn't go. Let's get Cable back as well and have like a little reunion team up.
Again, there was an offshoot comment for that where Brolin says, like towards the end of 2, that he's like, I think I'll stick around for a bit, and then obviously Deadpool steals his thing and fucks off and does what he needs to. But then in this, it's like we gave it a go with Cable, but he didn't. I can't remember the wording. It was either he didn't work well as a team, in a team, or he didn't. He didn't score well with like viewers.
Oh, focus groups.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Which I don't get because I think, and as far as I'm aware, everybody was very happy.
Yeah, he
with
was
Brolin's performance.
Yeah.
But I can't. I didn't make the line out properly.
I can't. I don't. I think it's because they go, well, he would want to be that second. He wanted to be the linchpin character, and you can't
so it's
have
Deadpool and Cable and Wolverine.
Yeah, you can't have both of them sort of like both of them there. It would take away from everything, which is why again, there's no Domino, there's no Lady Death. Like it would just take away from the fact that we had to convince him
to come back for this,
just to be here, so he gets front and stage.
Did you see the original plan for this film?
Huh?
So what they said no to it, but what Ryan Reynolds had pitched originally, and they shot some of the stuff. So you'd go to see the Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't the film. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically a film where 2 cops share a brain. And he says like for the first like 5 minutes of the film, it's that film, and then it starts and then kicks in and it's Deadpool and Wolverine. So you'd have like 10 people on opening day that have gone to see this film about two cops that share a brain, and then it's Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's how he was going to combat spoilers and stuff.
Yeah, I think that would last about 3 days.
How much money would you lose on that?
Yeah, that's the thing. No one would go and see it. No cinemas would be showing it.
But yeah, that made me laugh. But yeah, it was a shame we didn't get to see any of like even like the original, not the original, but the supporting casts for like not Last Stand, First Class. We get to see some of those because it's not original as Hazel.
Oh, is it not? What's his name? Jason Fleming, I want to say.
No, it's not him.
That's a shame. But I would have liked to have seen like an Alan come in or a Kelsey Grammer or something like that.
Yeah, maybe not Kelsey Grammer because he's voicing Beast in presumably the new one.
But I imagine as well for them, they're like, I'm not doing 6 hours of makeup for 30 seconds of screen. It's not worth it.
But
plus the studio would be like, it will cost us 10 grand to get you in that suit again, and we're not doing it. Just to physically get you in it, we're not doing it.
Look at Nicholas Hoult in. He's had the serum.
No,
job done.
Because people are like, oh, the worst Beast.
It's the cheapest one we can get.
You've already got the model that you've made for the end of the Marvels. Stick that in and just go, there's another one.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, just put him in a different suit.
Yeah.
Make him look a little bit more Nicholas Holty or something like that. I don't know.
No Ghost Rider, though. Disappointed.
Not even a mention. Not even a mention. No motorbike, no whip, no nothing.
Yeah, when the car drives through the fire coming in after they blown it up with the Punisher's rocket launcher, and the wheels are all on fire and then it spins, I was just sort of like, oh my god, it's like, I don't know how or why, but is Ghost Rider going to be there as like one of the bad guys or whatever?
Could have done.
But again, you're sort of looking more at your Mephisto kind of like, you know, he's floating around in hell kind of thing.
But even just like we didn't get Red Skull, but we had his car. So
yeah, like the Mercedes, whatever it was that he was.
Yeah, from First Avenger. But why couldn't we have had the Ghost Rider car from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah.
Just a reference.
But that's not I suppose that's not a Fox thing. It's in the bin. And now that I think about it, I think it was Sony.
No, it's Paramount. I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's Paramount. Like New Line Cinema, that kind of jazz. But no, it wasn't just specific Fox, because the Void was the Void. The Fox universe is the one in the real world with all of Deadpool's friends and family. The Void is just everyone else being landed there from everyone else. Like the Punisher was. Punisher's not Fox.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's probably why he wasn't there then.
No, he was there because they mentioned him. They're like,
but I mean that's why one of them, like the ones that we've actually seen, wasn't there. So it could have been one of the ones from their particular.
A Punisher, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh no, but that's what I mean. Like the Void is just for everyone from different universes. So they technically could put anybody in that's had a failing or a finished run at something.
Columbia, Crystal Sky, and Relativity.
Columbia owned by TriStar.
Yeah, I believe they are, aren't they? Well, it's Columbia TriStar, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, like one of them bought the other one out.
But I'm pretty sure Columbia's owned by Sony. Yeah, they're owned by Sony. That's fine. Sony Pictures, yeah. So Ghost Rider's owned technically by Sony. And Christ, they don't want to use him for a fucking Spider-Man film. But...
No, I'm sure it's gone back to Marvel. I'm sure it's owned by Marvel now. Ghost Rider and Blade and Daredevil, they lost them all at the same time. Because they didn't make anything else with them.
But if that's supposed to be the Fox bargain bin, if they weren't made by Fox, then they wouldn't be there. They're closing the chapter very gently but heavily on the Fox X-Men stuff. So anything that wasn't a part of that, then that's it. They're in the bin.
But from what I think they're the ones that we saw within the Void. But like Cassandra's probably the best example of it. It's just anything that's on its arse and gets pruned will end up in the Void, which is the same Void as the Void from Loki. It's just in a different area of it. So
it's the same. It's very much the same.
Yeah.
Because they're pruning. It's the same TVA, and they're pruning. It's going to the same place. There's not an alternate Void.
So it's just the Fox universe is the one they're trying to save, which I don't get because that's what they succeeded. So technically, the Fox universe still exists.
Well, when he's, I mean, again, skipping to the end, but after they do, they're like, oh, there's some other people there. I'd like you to give him another chance. And she's like, oh, that's what I can do. So I reckon that's sort of like, no, Channing Tatum's not going to come back as Gambit. No, Jennifer Garner's not going to come back as Elektra, and no, Wesley Snipes is not going to be Blade again. But do we want to use those characters for something more?
For something else?
Yeah, sure. They're certainly in contention because now people have been reminded about it, and those that don't recognise them will have looked at some YouTube video and gone, "Oh, fucking hell, of course, yeah."
Those will be used definitely. It's the ones in the real world. So like where Vanessa and them are. If Deadpool joined the MCU, that world would have been destroyed, like it does in Loki. So everything gets spaghettified and stuff. But because they saved it. Technically, it still exists, even though they've wrapped it up.
It's not a parallel thing. He hasn't joined the MCU timeline. But unless they give him a temp pad that he can hop between dimensions, or they'll just pull him through for missions as and when they need him. I suppose that's what you don't want, is you don't want to be doing like a nice, normal Spider-Man film, and then he comes up and he's like, hey, cum guzzlers. Like, you can't have, like, you need to pick and choose when you bring him through. Up. So they will go, we will tell you when it's appropriate for for you to come and help on a mission.
Which is upsetting because the Deadpool and Spider-Man comics are real good.
But
really
means
good.
That they could, well, they don't have Spider-Man anymore anyway. So
they've still got him for another 2 films?
Which they've already probably got in pre-production.
Oh yeah, most likely. But again, it wouldn't be Tom Holland then.
No.
They just pick a different one. And do it a different way.
Hopefully they do Miles and they do it properly.
I don't know. I've got a feeling they'll just come up with another deal and Tom will be there till he's 90. That's what I think will happen. Which I don't mind because he's a good Spider-Man and a good Peter Parker. But
I like the idea that the Fox universe now exists in tandem. So it's like they're not crossing over. They're not just, oh, we're in New York and they're in New York. But that means that you can introduce the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, in this new Fox timeline that Deadpool's now saved, and everybody else is in the bin. They're all in the Void. He's now restarting it. All your mutants, all your cool stuff from your X-Men's and whatever, they're all in that. And then as and when, they can cross over.
I've got a feeling, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four movie has already got its own So this is 616 for the MCU. I'm pretty sure the new Fantastic, it's already confirmed it's this universe. So it's a separate
this new
one.
Deadpool one?
No, Fantastic Four film. So it's in the past, but it's in a different. It's not 616 universe.
Yeah, but that's what I mean though. Like if they were the Fantastic Four in Deadpool's universe in the 60s, then you could still have them cross over as and when they are needed.
Maybe. I'd prefer
that would explain why the ridiculous 1960s Fantastic Car is in this, because
maybe
it's an idea that they've been pruned previously or whatever.
Yeah, they had already made it so far, and then TVA did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of good crossover stuff that can potentially happen, but there's equally stuff that, like you say, you don't want it to be. If Deadpool's going to show up in a more kids-orientated movie where it can't be Deadpool, is it really worth it?
I don't want Deadpool and Captain Marvel to be having a go at each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got an established thing with the X-Men, and now he's kind of got something with the Fantastic Four as well.
Yeah.
I'd say that he needs to be the Iron Man of that universe. To be like, he's leading the charge. He's going to be the one that makes all these teams, because he can't be an Avenger, because the Avengers have already said, nah, like we've got our own shit we're doing. But he's saying, well, I still want a team. I've tried that before. They all got killed. I tried it again, and most of them are okay. And I've got a million versions of me, and they're all wankers.
I'm annoyed we didn't get to see anything of Panda, because Panda Paul was there, but they didn't show anything. It was just more.
I'm more annoyed
silhouette.
that they had Lady Deadpool, and didn't take a fucking face off, and it's Blake Lively.
I think it was voiced by Blake Lively. I don't think it was Blake Lively in the suit.
I don't know about that, but I was expecting it to pan up and pan up and pan up, and then it would just be her face with the blonde ponytail, and I'd be like, fucking yes.
You know what I said to Zoe on the way home? What I really wanted was, even though I was really happy that it was Blake Lively, but I don't think it was her in the suit, I would have preferred it if it was Blake Lively and she voiced it, but when she took the mask off, it was Ryan Reynolds.
Or she had his face pasted over him.
Yeah, like they did with the Hugh Jackman thing from the first one. That would have been funny as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get to see. There was too many.
I think it was just sort of like, oh, there's a few. There's a Wild West one, and there's Kid Paul, and there's Doug Paul.
That was Thingy McConaughey, Cowboy one.
Oh, was it?
That was Matthew McConaughey, and Head Paul was Nathan Fillion.
No way, I wouldn't have called that. Yeah, Head Paul, fucking hell. I love the fact that he started beating one of them to death with him. That was great. But then after that, it's just sort of like, here's all just the other spare costumes that we had, or cosplayers that have just...
Yeah.
They've done cons and stuff, and we want them to just come in and...
The fact that Nice Paul had no powers.
But he still got shot 100 million times.
It was very funny, I'll be honest. But again, they were there for Wolverine and Deadpool to just fuck loads of shit up.
Yeah, there was no need for all of them there to be there, no.
No. Also, why wouldn't you... I know, as the character, he's pretty despicable and he's done a lot of bad things and drugs and... Like, in the comics, obviously, he keeps Al captive. She's not there because she wants to be there.
No.
But in terms of this, you've got this character who is seemingly immortal. He's handy. He does use goods and stuff, but you could maybe train him so he's trained like an Avenger. Why wouldn't you give him a shot?
I think it's all the swearing.
But that's all it was for Happy. He's just nah.
Yeah, it's just like, you're not PG friendly enough. We can't make $1 billion off you, mate.
Joke's on you.
I thought the Happy thing was good. I'm liking the fact that they didn't go too heavy on the MCU stuff. So there wasn't a Benedict Cumberbatch, there wasn't a Scarlett Johansson or a whatever. There's Chris Evans, but he's only there because he was also part of the Fox universe as well, and that's perfect.
It also times into the picture I sent you of the two Krasinski characters. There's a lot that have played multiple ones, but that was that. Also, you know who I would like, Dan? Still got this tea towel in my hand. I forgot his name. Leif Schreiber, Sabretooth.
Leif Schreiber, Sabretooth. Yeah,
he was real good.
Cool.
He was a way better Sabretooth.
But you can't just have Leif Schreiber come in and then decapitate him, and then there you go, he's dead.
Well, I know you do the first one, decapitate that one, and then it's just like, what about me? And then they have a proper scrap.
I don't know, because I think you can only I don't think there was anything that carried over from Wolverine, X-Men
Origins. Only, I suppose, literally those two. Obviously, Deadpool's in that.
Yeah. But why? Actually, that's a really good point. A million Deadpools show up. Why was Wolverine Origins Deadpool not there?
For very good reasons, I imagine.
I know that he went back in time and shot him through the head.
But that was one of them. There's other variants still. So in however many millions of other dimensions, that Deadpool still exists.
Yeah, I would have loved to have him to been like he just sort of like get Lady Deadpool and all that, and then he just pushes through to the front, and then Ryan Reynolds is like, oh, never shot at him.
Oh, Lady Paul takes hers off, and that's what's underneath.
Oh my god, that would have been what a bait switch. That would have been fucking insane. And then lasered him across the fucking street. Especially
as at the end of Origins, depending which, because there was two different mid credits scenes, depending where you were in the world. But one of them was the hand going across to find him, and then he's like patting his face, and he opens his eyes, but his mouth's cut open so he can speak. So that one was just a hand and a head. So you could have wrote that in somehow.
Yeah,
would have been funny. I'd have been all right with that. I think it would have been a good laugh. And all the jokes aside, and kind of very much skipping ahead now, but I really liked the basically goodbye 20th Century Fox universe with the credits. I thought it was really nice.
They had some good times with it.
Yeah.
But then there was no making of Blade that was on there.
Yeah, it probably doesn't exist though.
No, not one that went out to be like, oh, we all had such a great time making this movie.
Yeah. I mean, that might have just been like Patton Oswalt and Ryan Reynolds and like everybody but Wesley Snipes.
That's true, yeah. Chris Christopherson, if he's still alive, which I don't think he is.
I think he is, but could be wrong. But yeah, it's just like they're like every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday was great because that's when Snipes wasn't in.
I'm surprised they didn't say something about that and just be like, "Oh,
there must be."
I heard you were a nightmare to work with, or something like that.
There's got to be some bloopers.
There's more than enough interviews out there with with people who worked on Blade, like way after the fact, like no promo stuff where they just sort of like, he was just an arse. He wouldn't talk to people. Like I think he was talking to the director and producers and stuff through post-it notes.
Yeah,
he physically wasn't talking to people.
Well, specifically for the last, because he would like it from the second one and the third one. But in the third one, any shots that aren't where you see his face, it's the stunt double. So if they're talking and it's the back of the head, it's not Snipes. It's like, just fire him then. If that's the case.
Those films weren't big enough to be like, well, he's the draw.
No, it's not like Robert Downey Jr. doing it and going, nah, I'm just going to show up. Like, everything else, just zoom in with the Iron Man mask on, don't really matter.
Yeah. Or the Doom mask now.
Yeah, though this is going to be, we're going to touch on later. So, obviously, news broke. Was it Sunday? I believe it was Sunday at Comic-Con.
It was, I was in bed, yes, and woke up and it was the first thing I saw and I was like, so yes, it was Sunday morning.
Mr. Downey Jr. back as into the MCU, but this time as Victor Von Doom, a.k.a.
As a Doctor Doom.
No, the Russo... Well, this is the thing I was going to bring up. So the Russo brothers specifically said at the panel, it's not a variant of Tony Stark, it's Victor Von Doom. That's who he's playing.
But that's fine. He could still be a variant of Victor Von Doom.
Well, this is what I was going to say. This ain't the first time the Russo brothers have lied.
Also true, yes.
So
specifically saying in the TVA where they're just sort of like, "Hey, do you want to get recruited and do cool stuff?" And he's like, "Oh my god, does that mean I can get like cameos and variants?" Like, and they're just sort of like, "Yeah, whatever you want." Like, I get the feeling that's what that pitch meeting was like. It's like, "Can I just bring in like 100 Deadpools now?" Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you got the budget, so go for it.
Do it. Why not?
Yeah.
No substance. But Yeah, so Downey will be the big bad for at least the next 3. Well, the Fantastic Four film, the Avengers Kang Dynasty has now been renamed to Avengers Doomsday.
Doomsday.
And obviously Secret Wars as well. So he'll be the big bad for those. But do you reckon it'll be the one and only Doom we get?
I hope not.
I hope not too. That's my only criticism of it.
You can have tech Dooms, you can have magic Dooms, you can have tech and magic Dooms. You can have Dooms where he's just a dictator, or you know, he's just a leader, or like he's kind of like a Black Adam, just sort of like, you know, he's got his country, he loves his country, and he protects his country, and fuck everyone else, and I'll kill you all, or that kind of mentality. Or you can have, I want to take over the world, Lex Luthor kind of Doom.
Yeah.
I think they just say, you can't really do anything wrong at this point. I reckon they're going to say, go in and chew fucking scenery, mate.
I think that's the one they're going to go with.
Go mental. Just like absolute cackling maniac, rather than like reserved, calculated, you know, he's planned 1,000 moves ahead of time. He's just sort of like, make it bigger and electric.
The thing is, though, the benefit of this is that you can do a Wesley Snipes and not show up, because Doom very rarely takes his mask off.
Oh yeah, you can.
So he doesn't need to be there for it. So this could be one that does like.
But there's also not going to be a billion fight scenes with him. He's not a hand-to-hand guy.
Really? I mean, again, depending on how they go, is it going to be more fantastical and mystical, or is it going to be tech-based, or what?
It'll be they'll fight. Then they'll finally have a go at him, and then he's down on his knees, and it's a Doombot, and they're like, oh bloody hell, another one.
But again, that could be a good, depending on how they do the face. So if it looks like Robert Downey Jr., that could tie into stuff. Like, can you imagine like breaking the news to Tom Holland Spider-Man, and they're doing a big Avenger thing, and he swings in and they kick the mask off, and then he turns around and he's like, Mr. Stark? And it's not obviously Mr. Stark, because it's Mr. Doom. And then he fucks him up.
What if they had, it's sort of like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing, and Robert Downey Jr., that's the only Doom that you see the face of, but that is the Doombot.
Yeah,
so the actual Doom is somebody else.
Someone else. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't do it that way. I mean, there is versions in the comics where
they are literally doing everything they can to open up as many doors as they can for possibilities, aren't they? They go, multiverse, they're going time travel, they're doing like cloning in essence with like Doom, with like a million Doombots. You never know if you actually really get him. Yeah. Magic and all kinds of, like, they're throwing a lot of shit at the wall that just opens up the TVA, just sort of like, just go through a door and there you're there. Just whoop, and you're into the Deadpool universe, and then whoop, and you're back.
But they have done it, and again, some people may have different agreement. Like, they might agree on my, they might not. But they've done it in a way where it does make sense.
Oh, agree.
So it's not all convoluted or anything else a la DC. Well, yeah. Pre-DC, not new DC, because we haven't seen that yet. I do like, though, that at Comic-Con, the big stuff for that was like Robert Downey. They had all these fucking people dressed up as Doom out on stage, and then one came out, took the mask off. It was Robert Downey Jr. I was like, whoa, holy fuck. Over in the other booth, James Gunn came out and went, this is the logo for Superman. And that was all they showed.
Is it an S by any chance?
Pretty much, yeah.
What a fucking surprise.
But you can't compete with that.
No.
Should have just packed up and got home. But yeah, just swiftly moving back to that's another thing. In the car, when they're driving off, and Deadpool sat there, and you go, Spider-Man. Like,
yeah, I know.
But no, that's what I mean. Like, in Deadpool's world, there isn't a Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like that. It was a very sneaky addition to the Easter eggs. I suppose it's not really an Easter egg because it was in plain sight, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like him putting on Wolverine's claws.
That was cool.
Like, from his skeleton, that was great. But like, if they'd have been digging through like the box of antiquities that like this weird ragtag team have put together, and there was some web shooters in there,
that'd be cool.
He spends ages sort of like zipping and swipping, and then he gets there and he does that, and it's run out of web fluid, and he's got no more. He's like, oh, fucking hell.
That'd be quite funny.
Yeah.
I did like the way they did the setup for the claws, and how I assume somebody's gone to great lengths of going, well, this part of the femur and this, like, for how it might actually work. But it was just a cool sight to see. Yeah. But yeah, there's very little of the film that I disliked. In terms of story, a little bit thin, but
I mean, again, this is why I'm still kind of like reading from like, oh my god, that person, oh my god, that thing, oh no way. But it still didn't detract from the overall thing, because there's a million things where you just sort of like, well, why didn't Loki just get involved? He's a time god. Just get involved and just go, stop that. Or like, hey, guys, just so you know, that guy's nicked one of the universe-destroying bombs.
Yeah.
You're not going to track her on it or something like that? Why didn't Miss Minutes catch it? There's a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just sort of like, oh, what if?
What if?
But yeah, there's nothing there that makes me just go, oh, ridiculous. Come on.
I came out of it enjoying it. I spent a good few days thinking about it, enjoying it. Finally got to speak to you about it, enjoying it. For every slight problem that there is with it, it's massively outweighed by the enjoyment of the movie. And like I say, I've seen loads of articles of people not directly compared it to something like The Godfather, but you can tell that it's not artsy fartsy enough for me. Don't fucking watch it. It's not meant to be that kind of film. This film is, I'm going to the cinema, I've enjoyed myself. That's what it is. And it succeeds for, like, in that sense, it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's massively successful. I think it is the best MCU film since Endgame in a sense of enjoyment. And like, I think Guardian, in terms of story beats, Guardian's better. And I think Guardians and maybe like Far From Home No Way Home was pretty good. I did enjoy it a lot. But that had problems. Guardians had problems. This had problems, but I think this is the most enjoyment out of the three of them for me personally. Mainly because, again, Wolverine's my favourite character. It was so close to kind of shoehorning a Punisher in there, but they didn't for whatever reason.
But and there's a name drop and
that's more than we've had before.
Which one? There's been 5 of them. Like you say, that's never been brought up in the MCU before.
The closest we've had was
Netflix
Winter Soldier. That van driving around.
That was always a nonsense, nothing rumour anyway.
But up until they literally mentioned it in this film, that's the closest we've had.
Yeah. That is,
and now at least they specifically mentioned the two words together, the Punisher.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. And again, I loved it. I genuinely can't wait to watch it again.
I see him just as a Mad Max, just sort of like still out there, still surviving, and yet he's somehow still got 300 rounds of ammunition and
don't know how this is
4 different claymore mines everywhere, and he's still got all of his crazy gadgets and stuff.
But what if they'd done it, but it was Dolph Lundgren? He was the one that survived all this time.
I'd forgotten about the Lundgren one. You're totally right.
Yeah, that's the first one.
yeah. I reckon he would have worked probably the best. But again, that wasn't even Marvel Knights back then. I'm sure. Like when Lundgren did, because that was in the 80s. I'm sure. Yeah,
that was like Nick Fury, David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, and
no, that was in the 90s, I think.
I'm sure it was like 8. Well, I think it was like 89 or something like that. Nick Fury was. I'm sure it was. I could be totally wrong there.
I'm not sure. Because I'm sure that the Dolph Lundgren one was super. It was like proper, like after the Terminator kind of.
Yeah.
Nick Fury. It was just called Nick Fury, wasn't it?
I think it is Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's not very good. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not looking for all of his comic appearances.
1998.
Well, that was the
Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, but I'm sure that the Dolph Lundgren Punisher would have been. I'm sure that was 80s.
89.
Yeah.
Bang on what I said. 89.
Because it would have been like it's because it's proper Terminator-esque.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
You could say it's one of those, same as a lot of films these times where they've obviously seen it and gone, we need to make one of them, but ours.
Yes.
And it just didn't work. I think it's the worst one, I'll be honest.
No, I think the Tom Jane one is. Because it's a PG one.
I don't know, I like the chandelier bit.
No, it's all pretty terrible. Like, there's too much heart in it.
It's that.
It's just like, we're all at a beach picnic with my entire extended family. There's 40 of us, and then like some pirates come in and just shoot everyone, and then a weird like shaman or something gave me a shirt with a skull on it, so now I'm the Punisher. It's like, what?
But at least he went on to do Dirty Laundry.
That's the only decent thing he's done since Arrested Development.
That's the best Punisher movie in my eyes, Dirty Laundry is.
No, Warzone's ridiculous, but kind of great at the same time.
Nah, Warzone's one of those. It is so bad that it's good.
I blame the fact that they got like a proper sort of like stereotypical like Italian mobster kind of guy as Jigsaw. Like if you just took the Ray Stevenson stuff, like his opening scene, like when he's clearing that building out when he's after Jigsaw, it's almost like Dread to that extent, where it's just sort of like close quarters, just mowing people down, like he's being efficient. But then when it's just all sort of like it's people just chewing scenery and stuff, and it's just a bit, ugh, come on.
I don't like it. I like Dirty Laundry because it takes that guy out with the bottle of Jack Daniels.
Well, most people can do that.
I don't know, not from that distance. Like he just fucking loves it. It's pretty good. I liked it because that was the same guy that made the Power Rangers bootleg movie. He directed
Well, I think that if either Dolph Lundgren or Tom Jane would have been great, but again, I don't think either would have been a part of Fox, which is again probably why they're not a part of this.
I mean, the bulk of the characters, like you say, it is that send off to that Fox universe, and to a degree, Channing Tatum, he was cast. He was like they had that photo taken.
A part of that universe when it was a thing.
Yeah,
or like their ownership, should we say? I was half expecting when that video ran its course, it would say like, "Thanks, Fox. We'll take it from here."
Yeah, because that's effectively what they have done, really. I think it was a nice send off, and like we ourselves have made a lot of jokes about the Fox universe over the years.
I mean, take a fucking number.
I'll be honest. I remember going to the cinema to see the first X-Men movie. I remember enjoying it. I still like X2. The first half of the Wolverine's a great film. Origins is shit all the way through, but the first half of the Wolverine is really really good.
Yeah.
Obviously Logan's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And little tiny bits of each of the other X-Men films are really good. It's just they somehow always manage a way to fucking ruin it in every possible way, and it detracts from all of the good stuff. I don't think I ever liked any of the Fantastic Fours though, or Elektra, or Daredevil.
I never watched Elektra. Daredevil.
It's fucking awful.
I bet it is, but I know I watched Daredevil a bunch of times.
Daredevil's better than Elektra. So let that sink in. The only thing I liked about the Daredevil movie was that he had all his money arranged, so he knew how much money he was taking out.
I think that's more just sort of that's what the blind do, rather than that's something they created for the movie.
But I think that again, that's something where because notes do have the braille on it, so you obviously blind people can read it. But it makes sense that they'd have the money set out. But as a lawyer living in fast-paced fucking New York-esque city, like, is it?
It is New York.
Is it? No, but is it Hell's Kitchen in the movie, or is it just New York?
No, I'm sure it's Hell's Kitchen.
We'll stick with Hell's Kitchen, but in a bustling city, just pay on your card for everything. Cards existed back then.
Well, like you say, that was also in 1997, so it would be credit cards and stuff, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And presumably at that point, you'd either need to sign after you paid for it, or you use a chip and pin machine.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. Anyway, that's the only bit I liked. And The Calling did the soundtrack, and it was a pretty good song.
I did like the sort of the Daredevil like echolocation vision that they did, the sort of like the blue and white outlines like rippling.
Ben Affleck just locking up all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
doing the most offensive thing.
How do you possibly get someone to just play someone who's visually impaired without it being obvious that they're not?
I don't know. Look at Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox has done it, but again, I'm sure that there's like a bunch of subtle things that he's done that people just don't flag. But people who know people are visually impaired would be like, they don't do that, or you do this in a different way or something.
Yeah, but I mean, you do research. You go meet people.
Oh yeah, of course.
Even if you just did like a lot of blind people have like really, really, really pale colour in their pupils, so you can just put contacts on. So, like, do anything except for the most offensive thing you could possibly do. But anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, Dan, what are you rating Deadpool and Wolverine?
I'm going to say it's a solid 8.
Yeah?
A solid 8, maybe even a 9.
I'm going 9.
Probably, it would probably drop down after a couple of rewatches. I'm just sort of like, it's a bit silly this, actually. Or why didn't this... Like, this is the thing when you introduce like a TVA-esque kind of agency. Yeah. How could they let this happen?
There's a lot of questions that need answering. Like, not necessarily questions that happen in the film, just questions that you have after watching. You go, but what and why don't and how did? Yeah. And that's the same with any time travel thing.
Well, annoyingly, yes, but that's what happens. But like, so again, they do it in Star Trek, where there's a temporal police force, basically, like as part of Starfleet, who it usually only happens in sort of like some of the newer series, but basically they'll fuck around in time, which they always do, and then these guys end up getting sort of pulled in and just being like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you fucking around with the timeline again? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But then there's also a bunch of different instances where it's just like, well, why didn't the time police just show up and just go, what the fuck are you playing at? Why are you here? Why is this happening? Why is that a thing? Why is this a temporal thing and that one's not? Well, so you write like an omnipotent force to a degree that you just choose as and when they get involved.
Yeah, they only do it as and when. And
then what's the point then?
But that's they.
But that's how you write stories, though, because like it's interesting. But then you go, well, because then that means that you start an episode and they go, "Oh, Captain, there's a weird distortion over there," and then instantly there'd be a ship that would pop in and go, "Don't go near that," because you do go near it and you end up starting World War III all over again. So fucking do one, all right?
Yeah. And then don't want that to happen. Yeah,
yeah. So of course you have to do that sort of stuff. And again, with the TVA, they can go through time and space and dimension. How could they have a bomb that can blow up a thing?
I
that
assume
just doesn't even have like a tracking device on it.
I've got a feeling some of this is to do with Loki, where the reason Loki is there doing his shit with the tree is that it allows these extra branches to go off, whereas obviously before people would get pruned and worlds would end and everything else. But
well,
then,
like you said though, it's like it was efficient. It worked. Clearly, it did.
It did, but obviously Loki's in charge now, and that's what he's chosen. But then they've gone in the MCU, Nexus events are like in basic Spider-Man canon events, they have to happen. Nexus events are allowed to happen alongside the other things that are happening because of this reason. And in this instance, the only time we've really had a Nexus event was the Avengers going back to put the Infinity Stones back. But then coming into this one, and they've gone, anchor beings, they're basically the soul of the world. If the anchor being goes...
They've also done that same thing in the Spider-Verse, though, by saying if like the Spider-Man doesn't become a Spider-Man, then the universe dies, because it's like a central point that it has to happen. Yeah,
that's why they called them a canon. It's a canon event. Unfortunately for the Miles that got bitten in this one, the person that should have got the spider powers didn't get it, and that's obviously what's happening with the world. And we saw what happens with the world with, I can't remember the Spider-Man's name, but the one where Miles stopped it from happening, and then the world started just fucking eating it off itself. And that's basically what they've done here, and they've gone, Hugh Jackman's left, so the Fox universe can't survive, and now it's blah blah blah.
But surely then, like whenever he just died naturally, the same thing would happen. The universe would just unravel itself.
I don't know, because I've got a feeling...
he wasn't exactly fucking far off it, was he?
I mean, just Logan dying in general, because especially that happens in the future as well, Logan. So you could only assume that it wasn't necessarily a reflection, or it was literally Hugh Jackman rather than the character Logan.
Yeah.
But again, that's not explained perfectly. But then I got the feeling from this that Deadpool's now the anchor for the universe, not this new Wolverine that's taken the place.
Yes.
So that
he's established himself as like, I'm now here and I will keep things going.
Yeah,
and
I'm as important.
Hugh Jackman, you can fuck off and do whatever you want to.
Yeah, you can pop back in and out, you do whatever you want because I'm the anchor to the universe.
Well, surely the anchor point should be Pete though.
That's a very good point.
Because every Deadpool was like, "Oh my god, no way! It's Pete, my best friend."
We've all got a Pete, and
then surely that should be the anchor point, right?
But I even though that makes more sense, I've got a feeling that's just like a Martha situation, where it's like this really pointless thing stopped the fight.
But again, it was just sort of like, we're here to kill you. We've all been chopped up. Oh, it doesn't matter. We're all kind of coming back. Oh, here's our mate. See
you later.
He's like high-fiving him as he walks off. I was like, you weren't really that committed to this fight, were you?
I do like, though, that they did everything. And then there was that moment where they were slightly surprised that they were regenerating. It was like they forgot who they were fighting.
Well, I think it's just because that's what I thought they were doing. They were just like, oh, well, one of them's being actually killed. So maybe they all, there's various versions of him that don't regenerate. And then they all just get back up and they're all like regrowing arms and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, of course. Because that's when they should have busted out the other Wolverines to come in and handle them all. You got Henry Cavill running around and 4 different Hugh Jackmans.
That'd have been such a perfect opportunity to do.
Because then that's when because that's an endless fight. It's never, ever going to end because they'll all constantly just keep on healing. And it'll be easier for 5 Hugh Jackmans to chop them all up and keep chopping them to give them enough time to kind of get down into the basement. That
was a couple of things that I did like. The first fight with Deadpool, when he runs on all fours for a little bit before he pounces.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's a fucking cool look. It's clearly CG, but it'll look cool as fuck.
Yeah, most of his pounces and stuff like that, like everything looked... It did look like it was a Wolverine that was 50 years younger than the one we saw in Logan.
Yeah.
Still got energy, still got beans, and he still can fucking fight. I was hoping for a bit of a flashback where he would be... Because, that's the thing I don't get. Like, there's sort of like... Because they said, oh, we're not doing a third act flashback. Yeah. But I also kind of wanted to see that. I was like, what did he do? Like, how did this all go wrong? Because he said, like, oh, just a bunch of humans came round and killed them all. Really?
Yeah,
really?
Because he wasn't there. Because he got to the shop or whatever it was.
Like, you telling me that Jean and Storm and Beast, like, unless they be like, oh, they just gassed the house and killed them all.
Yeah, it could have been anything. They could have burnt it down and they were all asleep. Or maybe they were a lot younger than the X-Men, for the school. So, kind of like X-Men Evolution age or something like that.
Oh, I don't know about that. They wouldn't have had the outfits if that was the case.
Maybe not. But it would have made more sense for, like in Old Man Logan, spoilers for a comic that's been out fucking years. But obviously, Mysterio tricks Wolverine, so all the Sabretooth and Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse, and they're all storming the X-Mansion, and Wolverine's slicing them all up, and he's shouting out for the rest of the X-Men to come and help. But that was the X-Men, and he was tricked into killing them all. That's a reason. And that happened in the comics.
That's a reason to be the worst Logan. Absolutely.
Yeah. But this was, I don't want to be there. And then I fucked off. When I came back, they were all dead.
Yeah, it's like just saying, oh, they all got jumped in an alley and got killed. It's like, but they're the X-Men.
But I think...
well, there's no perimeter defences. Jean Grey, an incredibly powerful psychic telepath, didn't spot a mob of people with pitchforks or bricks or whatever coming in through the house. And I'm sure there's even a line in it might be the original X-Men or maybe X2 where Professor X and Magneto are talking to each other and he's like, what will you do, Charles, when they come for you and your children? And Professor's like, I pity them.
Yeah.
Like, I pity anyone who comes to that house looking for a fight.
I like to see him try.
Yeah, because like it's mainly full of like incredibly powerful. Like that's the reason that they don't like him is because they're all super weapons.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of useless kids in there that they can write with their fingers or whatever. Hooray!
No, but
what you're telling me that just a bunch of randos can just storm the X Mansion and kill Jean and Scott and I just don't buy it, and that's why I was like, I have to see as to what if they just like. They went, because again in Logan they do a reasonably kind of good job, just sort of subtly throughout the film. They just say there's something that was introduced into like corn syrup, which is used in everything, and it changes your DNA, and you can't create new mutants, or it significantly controls the rate of new mutants being born. Perfect. That explains it away. You don't have to say, they all just got like
the Winchester incident.
Westchester
incident.
So he killed a bunch, or all of them, maybe, other than Logan. And then all of the other ones, either that they've all been rounded up or whatever, but there's just no new ones being born. So something like that, where they were just like, if someone poisoned him and he went in and he killed them all because he thought that they were all attacking him, or they.
But you get a sense of it without seeing it.
Well, no,
and that's a good thing. Logan, I mean.
Oh, I see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's enough ambiguity about it for you to be like, oh, okay. Well, we've seen what he can do. We've seen what he does when he's having an attack.
Yeah.
That, but without anyone being able to have meds to control it. Yeah, it would just kill everybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas here, he just went, because I wasn't there, they all got killed. It's like, mate, you're not even the most powerful one in that fucking house. What are you on about?
The problem is, like, the bad thing that's implied, like what I took away is the bad thing that's implied. The reason he's the worst one is because he wasn't there and all the team got murdered by humans. And then he went out and he killed all the humans.
And then a bunch of other people.
And then he just didn't seemingly stop from there.
He just had a massive blood rampage.
Yeah.
And again, I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Show us.
I understand. But I have to see it then. Yeah, you've got to show me that. Otherwise, I don't understand the context as to, other than just he feels guilty.
Well, as far as we're aware, he didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't there.
He went out
something bad happened, and he got revenge.
Yeah, but again, I would love to see him just like that again. That Street Wolverine that was like all in fire and oh my god, that I was just sort of like that level of savagery. That is something I want to see. Like, and again, that first Deadpool Wolverine fight where they're just like laying into each other. That was and it was like proper like long shots as well. Like genuinely creative fights for these guys that they're putting together. Maybe it would have just been cut for time because it was already fucking long.
Yeah, but it's that way you get to...
Because then you could have got James Masters and Famke Jensen and all that. You could have got them all back and then killed them all off in a flashback scene. So again, you kind of get the closure for the original X-Men cast as well. Do you know what I mean?
Did you see the meme that Hugh Jackman remade with the picture? So the Wolverine meme where he's holding the picture. Like the original picture it's a photo of Jean and Scott, and it's from the X-Men cartoon. And it's the day that Scott and Jean are getting married. But Wolverine's in the suit, lay on the bed. And he's holding the picture, and then he puts his hand on Jean. Like, God, she's in love with her. But it's been a meme for years, and people have took the picture out, and it'll be like, I don't know, the credit scene of the Wolverine, where he opens the box, and it's got the Wolverine cowling and stuff, and it'll be a picture of that. And he's holding that. But Hugh Jackman's recreated that. But the picture inside the frame is like number one box office film of the month or whatever.
No way. No, I haven't seen that.
It's really funny. But then then after that, it's Deadpool lay on the bed, and then it's a picture. In his frame is the picture of Hugh Jackman within the picture. I was like, so funny. I'll find them up after and send them to you because they are very funny.
Yeah, well, now I can open myself up to...
Yes, you can go back on social media again. I bet you felt better just because of that,
though. Not really.
Being away from it?
No, it's more just a case of I'm just on tenterhooks, just looking at every time I open Facebook.
Anything,
I just don't know what someone is going to say. Or, like, again, one just miss-swipe and does that mean that Blade's in it? Or was that just a thing completely unrelated? Or, like... You have to be so fucking careful.
But it's the kind of thing though where it says, like, how annoyed would you have been if you hadn't seen it yet, and then like it's an IGN thing because it's typically them that spoil things. But it would be like, what it means having Chris Evans back as the Human Torch, and you go, well, you fucking bastards. Like, that's fine. A month from now, people have had plenty of time to see it, but not the day it comes out, or the day after, or the week of the release. Like, fuck off. Stop spoiling things. I hate it. I really genuinely do hate it.
But I think it's also a case of, if they spoil something, they've got the, well, it was never intended to, or well, you should have seen it by now. But if you go on their comment section to whinge at them and spoiling something, that's engagement.
Yeah.
They win immediately.
That's why they do it.
Of course it is. That's why you need to unfollow them and stop. Like, you shouldn't.
Half the time, it's not that. It's because it's popped up because somebody else who followed, they've commented on something, and it ends up in your feed. And like, I don't follow them on. I think I do follow them on Instagram, but on Twitter, X, I don't. But it's somebody fucking usually going, you fucking bastards. Why? And you get to see it then. But I stayed like, after 23 got spoiled, I was just like, nah, no more for me. And then just not really gone on a lot to see. But yeah, I loved it. I genuinely did really enjoy it.
Before they start touching on, okay, well, this is someone else that was cut for time. This is someone else that we were originally going to have in there, but we couldn't, there was a licensing issue, or like, the fact that it was long enough and there was too many things going on anyway. We didn't want to give time to a thing because we couldn't do them justice, or we'd say, oh, it's the thing, but you can't be in the film though because like hopping out of the dimension almost immediately, or
I'll be honest,
you'd have to be killed straight away. We don't want to do that.
There's no reason that stuff like this can't show up in the next season of Loki. Now we know that this kind of thing exists. There's no reason they couldn't go, Chris Evans. It's a different Human Torch. It's not the same one from Wolverine and Deadpool, but we need a specific person to show up to do this. I don't think it'll happen, but
real kind of time where we're getting actual stuff from the shows crossing over into the films.
Yeah.
So, with the TVA being a huge one. And again, I think that's a perfect way to focus, to say this is a doorway between any conceivable universe. Anything that Disney can eventually buy up or decide to pull out of the archive, that's a way of getting it on the screen. We just go, we're looking at an old temp pad, and then bang, here's some fucking obscure bullshit comic from 1972 that only got 3 runs.
I don't think I agree, except for the fact of I still see Loki more connected to the MCU than any of the other TV shows.
Loki is, but as the character Loki, he's a time god now. Like,
that's what I mean. That's why I think it'd be more acceptable to do it in Loki or connected to some other film that way. Obviously, you're not going to have it in like season 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, or
no. Although, if anywhere, it would be there, sure.
Yeah, but as I said, we'll have to see. We got other stuff coming up though, Dan. Obviously, the aforementioned Robert Downey Jr. back as Doom. There was new footage. We didn't get to see it, but there was new footage at Comic-Con from the new Captain America movie, and including some Red Hulk goodness. I'll leave it at that, because there was some other things that have already been spoiled for that film.
Unreal.
So
it's not even close to being out yet.
Nope, nowhere near. But that's Comic-Con for you. I assume that will be in the trailer, so probably we won't watch it.
I don't know, because the first one wasn't exactly a.
It's a teaser trailer.
It was more than anything, and like usually it's the same as I did for this. I'll watch the first trailer, but I know that there's been like 4 or 5 more since then, and there wasn't anything that it would have brought to the table other than just
spoiling things.
Well, not even spoiling things, but it'd just be like, I don't need to see this. I'm going to go and see the film. I'll just go and see it then. I'm already sold on it. The point of a trailer is to say, hey, this thing is coming out. You should go and see it. If after 1, I go, cool, I'm going to the cinema to see that. Anything on top of that, it's just extra content that I don't want to just see ahead of time. I want to get it as fresh as I can. And I've been reasonably lucky, because there's a lot that could have been spoiled.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And one misswipe and I wouldn't have known about Blade. And if I hadn't gone onto YouTube that day, or that feed hadn't refreshed in that way, I wouldn't have known about Sabretooth. And then I would have been literally not a clue going into it, which is kind of how I want it. So it could have been much worse. Let's leave it at that.
And that's as good as you're going to get with a lot of these things. Before we go, you've recently watched The Acolyte, Dan.
Yes, I finished it. I did it all in one big bloody go on Monday.
How many lightsabers out of 5 are you going to give it?
I'd say probably a 3.
That was about 3,
yeah. I think I genuinely recommend for stuff like this, if we're not super sure on it, wait until it's all out, watch it in one big go. Because I know what you mean. There was a few sort of like, it was in the middle of a conversation, then it'd be like, episode end. Yeah, and I'd be like, I couldn't wait another week to see where that goes. I need to know what's happening. I think the casting was amazing. I think the lightsaber fights, genuinely, that could be some of the best lightsaber work that I've seen.
I think there probably is. I'll be honest. I think some of the best.
They're fucking spectacular.
Yeah.
So, I if they do another season, and I really do hope they do, because again, there's not a single character in there that I'm like, most of them are fucking spoilers. Most of them are killed off anyway. Also, I meant to double check. The guy, is it the fella from A Good Place?
Yeah, so X amount of episodes ago on the podcast, I'd said to you, there's a person from The Good Place, I'm not going to tell you who, there's a person from The Good Place on there. Yeah. And I was concerned how he was going to do it, but I saw a meme today. Because I was watching it week to week as the episodes hit. But I saw a meme about it today, and it's when I forgot what episode it actually is, but it's when he says, "I know where the Wookiee is, like the Wookiee Jedi. It's on this planet. We'll go there." But it's just like, I know where we can go. It's like, where? It's just like, we go to Philly. Where is it in Jacksonville? From A Good Place, like everything just said.
Oh right.
Back in everybody's back in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Thingy Pete.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was they changed all the dialogue, so it's just him again.
It's weird that they've gone, like, because presumably that's the thing he's probably best known for.
Yeah.
He'd been sort of this like weird, absolute idiot doofus. Basically, that's all he is. He's just a funny idiot.
But that's basically what he is in this, isn't it?
He is, and then it's just sort of like, actually, no, he's not. Yeah. And he's actually quite scary when he puts his mind to it, and
he's ripped.
The fuck up. Yeah, honestly, as soon as those like arms came out, they're all like covered in mud and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, now we're talking. Now we're on proper Sith territory now." When they're filthy for no fucking reason.
He was really good.
But that's what I mean. All of them were great.
I hate the twin. I hated May, and I hated Usha. Also, no, why wasn't they identical twins when they were little?
They were.
There wasn't. They're two different people, and they're not identical twins. Where obviously, when they're older, they just use the same person.
I'm pretty sure they are twins.
The twin. The two little girls are twins, but they're not identical twins.
Are you sure?
100%, because we looked into it. However, when it's older, obviously it's the same girl playing both things, so she is identical. But
maybe it's easier to do it with when it's like so much like kid interaction.
Maybe
it's like we can't keep just like face transplanting people.
They look similar enough that it's not that big of a deal. It's just it doesn't change. That's not how it works. Anyway, disregarding that. As far as child actors go, they weren't too bad. But I despise both the characters, both May and Usha or Usha. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I don't like either of the characters. I don't feel they add anything to it. It actually takes away from the Skywalker saga, because now it doesn't really mean anything that Luke was created by the Force. But that's a different thing altogether. But I do think this entire show should have been based around the Stranger. He was far more interested.
Yeah. I think like the four, because it had kind of like Knights of the Old Republic vibes to it, with like you know, someone on like a vengeance trip hunting down original Jedi, like, because that's kind of what you're doing in not one but in two.
Second one.
Like yeah, like you're trying to find like the original Jedi Council that exiled you. It's kind of the same sort of thing where they're just tracking down like Carrie-On Moss. I think she was a bit underused.
Massively underused.
But she was great. I genuinely don't remember his name, but the guy who played Sol, he was fucking amazing.
From Squid Games.
Yes. Like, he was, like, I felt every fucking piece of emotion that he was putting out. Like,
very good actor.
He felt like he just brought out his AAA game for that. And I think, if anything, that is going to be, not the Squid Games, that is going to be the thing that sort of like solidifies him as like, oh, this guy's a good pull. Like, we should get him doing more stuff.
I do think he's going to show up in more things now, but hand on heart, once you've been in... Squid Games was the biggest thing in the fucking world on Netflix.
For like 6
and
months.
Then Star Wars is the biggest thing in the world on everything. Once you've done those two things, the world's pretty much your oyster, no matter how well received the Star Wars thing, because the Acolyte's been lukewarm reception for it. I think it's fine. I don't love it. Didn't hate it.
It feels like it's something that should have been a movie.
When
you watch it all the way through in one big go, it feels like it is just one big thing that just plays start to finish that has to be broken up. And it's like when, like back in the day, watching like network TV, where you'd be watching a movie, and then it just randomly, it's like a commercial. Because it's like someone is just in the control room, like, shit, we haven't played one in 15 minutes. Like, the stopping points weren't always the ones I would have assumed or thought of at the time. But if you just watch it back to back, a lot of that sort of stuff that I know would have been like, I'm going to wait another week after that. Fucking hell. Well, it's witches singing.
So there's one in particular when he's got May on the ship and he's like, we need to have a conversation. And then it just goes to the credits like, well, fuck you. Because before that, especially, it's like, we need to have a conversation. And then it goes black and then it cuts to the cave where Usha puts the helmet on and then it ends there. Like, well, why didn't you end with the fucking soul finish in the end of his sentence? That would have made more sense. That was a better ending point, but whatever. But I do like that they brought in the Cortis armor, because in the High Republic books, that can like basically short circuit lightsabers and stuff, and that's what they did in this. That was really cool. So I was happy that was brought in.
Because I like the fact as well that they're so taken off guard.
Yeah,
they're just sort of like, oh, my lightsaber's turned off. Like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, they're just so underprepared.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing that even though you have got knights there, obviously it's Padawans as well, but there are knights there as well, and they're all getting their ass handed to them. The fact that he basically like levitated himself down and then pushed every single one of them out of the way. They should have gone, we should probably fall back a bit. Probably shouldn't just go running. Kids, you go
for this.
Kids, you go first.
I tell you what, as odd as it might sound, like Sol's new Padawan, I can't remember her name, Jackie, I think her name is.
I know. I don't think that was her name, but I know you mean the green girl.
No. That was like the general. Like she had the white face with the orange. She looked a bit like Chitara.
I thought she was green. I know you mean, but I had a feel. It's in my head she was green, but I know you mean though the girl.
I thought she was great. Like in the fight scenes as well, like proper competent. And then they were just like, and then she just gets stabbed to death. Just like quick stab.
I preferred like the lad going. The one who was more like your Anakin of.
Oh yeah, when he just gets his fucking
neck snapped.
Love it.
That was one of the better things. Bringing in Darth Plagueis as a sneaky little cameo, which was great. It was really cool to see our very first. To be fair, our first look at Plagueis. Obviously, he's in the books and he's in the comic, like the Legends stuff. But this is the first time we've ever seen him in live action, and for a lot of people, the first time seeing him all together. But I can't help but feel they've done it to. This is the only way we're going to get a second season.
No, I think I disagree. I think that was always the intention, that it was just a slam dunk that they'd get a second season.
No, I don't know.
And now it's a case of like, I don't know, this actually wasn't super well received. Are we going to get a second season of this? And therefore, are they going to have to try and find some other way to get him in? I
don't know, because it wasn't like it was a scene where he interacted in any way. Like,
no,
that could have been added in at any point.
Yeah, very, very true. But it could just be of like, okay, well, it wasn't well received enough for us to carry on, and other than May and Osha, all the other cast are dead. So, like, if we don't want to do another one of these, then it was just a fun thing for people who know who he is, and then that's it. We just have to knock it on the head until we go back and do any more High Republic stuff.
I think it will get a second season. I just feel betrayed and misled. Like the first initial reveal for this show made it seem like we're going to get a show about Sith, and we didn't. We got to see it's not Sith. I'm not saying I'm the Jedi, but I'm not a Sith. But I'm pretty bad, because I'm probably a Sith. It's like, well, I don't care about all the good stuff and the Jedi and everything else. Let's see something about some evil people and actually focus on them and tell this exact story, but tell it from the stranger's point of view.
Well, he's like, it's really interesting that he's just sort of like, he's not a cackling maniac who's just like strangling people in the street for no reason. Like he's just like, haha, I'm evil. Look at me, I'm so evil. He's just like, no, I'm just fed up with the Jedi just saying that I can't be who I am supposed to be, and they won't let me have my power because I don't believe in what they do. So fuck them and I'll kill them. But he's still, he's got his, he's not a Darth Maul who's like running crime rings or whatever.
He's just doing his thing.
Yeah, he seems sort of, he's meditating. He seems complacent. No, complaintative. Not shit, I can't think of the fucking word now. How to pronounce it, should I say? But he seems like he's very focused. Like he doesn't have like a galactic conquest kind of goal. He's following orders.
Just wants to exist.
Yeah, and he's happy enough with that, and he's not just going to stab people in the street. Again, in a kind of Kylo way, but a far more disciplined version.
This was a much better version of Kylo Ren in that sense.
His robes are fucking great. I like the look of him. I think is brilliant. Like the helmet's really jarring, but in sort of like a Slender Man kind of way.
I hated the helmet mostly for the fact that it looks so similar to Thinking from Suicide Squad. Like it looks like it's a smile.
As soon as you said it, I was like, that's fine. If it was just sort of like a weird cracked mask, but because it kind of like, especially that first time he kind of floats in and his head sort of just like that, and then just goes off on one.
Yeah,
he seems supernatural at that point, and that's the thing. I reckon it is. It's like an intimidation helmet.
Oh
like,
definitely.
It's not just to focus his power. It's to scare the shit out of anyone else who doesn't know who he is. Yeah,
and it clearly works. But there's way more. I got more from the few episodes that gave us a little bit more of a dive into this character, and even the fact that it's like lightsabers there. I'm gonna go strip off, get in the fucking pool, bathe myself, kill if you want. I don't fucking care. And he was just way more interesting than anybody, even Sol. He was way more interesting than even that. And it's a shame that we only had a little bit of time with him during this season. I think
this is the kind of the sort of the Rey Kylo relationship that we were getting, because it seemed like it was potentially that they were going to switch sides. Yeah. And Kylo would turn back to the light, and that Rey would turn to the dark.
Yeah.
And that would have been a far more interesting way of dealing with that. But like he's got Force Heal. Like that's not a dark side ability.
No.
So does that mean he's more in the grey rather than just like pure out and out evil?
Probably. Probably.
That's again, that's more interesting than just like someone who's walking the line. But again, he's far more on the, well, I'll still kill the Jedi because fuck them.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like, because obviously we base a lot of this stuff off like off the video games and stuff. Like if you go in, for example, in Knights of the Republic, if you go down the dark side, you don't get to learn Force Heal. But if you go down the good side, you don't get to use Force Lightning. But realistically,
well, I think you can still learn it. It's just it uses so much force power. You might as well not.
But that's what I mean. Like they'll go like, this isn't a power that a good
you're supposed to have,
a Jedi would use. But if he's already learned Force Heal and then he's gone down the dark route, there's no reason he still know how to do it.
It's not as if like because presumably you could use that on yourself.
That's what Kylo did.
Did he?
Yeah, he gets shot by the blaster bolt, doesn't he? And he's got the whole fight stopping himself bleeding out while he's fighting with, because that's one of the things. Like, because everyone, us included, and he's like, fucking hell, he should have fucking decimated Finn in one fucking hit with the lightsaber. He's like, but 50% of him is stopping himself from dying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that isn't necessarily Force Heal. It's just preventing it, so maybe it's a force pressure, I don't know, but it's stopping himself from dying, because blaster bolts will kill a man.
Well, stormtroopers, most definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's a lot of instances like that. But I just think if they could have stole, like I said, the exact same story, but from the view of the stranger, and we see it all from his point of view, even down to like he's got these fucking lightsaber whip marks all over his back from what's her face. What the fuck why did she do that? Why did she think he was dead?
Yeah.
Like, also, there's all this interesting
lightsaber
stuff.
Whip, kind of great. Ridiculous as a weapon. But, like I just can't see... You can't win a fight with that, surely.
There was... I remember when they first revealed the High Republic stuff, and the cover, you've got a lot of them. They got like a gold lightsaber, they got a purple lightsaber, or whatever. And then there's one that's just got like a droopy, because it's the whip. But it looks like... Oh, this one's a bit deflated. It's like what the fuck?
I charged this up last night.
Yeah, what's going on with that one? But I think the fun in the fact that you can use it as a sword, and then you can make it floppy and use it as a whip as well.
So it's multifunction.
But
why don't they all do that? Why don't they all shoot lightsaber fucking bolts out of them?
But a lot of people don't like. I think the Inquisitor lightsabers are pretty cool, where they spin around and everything else. But you can't say, lightsaber whip's pretty cool, because that works even less than the Inquisitor one does.
Oh yeah, I mean none of them make any sense. It's a beam of light that's supported by nothing and stops.
How does the crystal work in that?
Yeah,
it doesn't.
No, but yeah, I think on the whole it was fine. I think if there was another season, I would probably do the same thing and I'd let them all build up again and then watch the whole season. It's not like a Mandalorian sort of thing where I'd be like, no, I kind of have to get on this as it's coming out.
And it's different because it'll get spoiled and.
Well, that's the thing.
Stuff will pop up.
I didn't know anything about this show when I started watching it, and that wasn't me trying to steer clear of anything. Nothing came up for it.
Wait for it,
which is good. But The Boys also finished as well, Callum. So we managed to watch The Boys. Quite a divisive season. This one so far. I've spoken to quite a lot of people who just didn't like it.
I'll be honest. It's no different than the last seasons.
I think it's great.
No, I loved it, but I'm saying people who didn't like it, you go, well, you must not like the other ones. No, I love the other ones. Well, it's the same season.
I don't understand what the difference is.
A lot of the ones I've seen on, like, the people I've spoke to have all enjoyed it, but the people I've seen online, it is more where they've kind of realised and gone, it's making fun of us. We're the people it's making fun of. And like I say, for people I've spoke to, they've enjoyed it as much as season 1, season 2, etc. I don't think it's the strongest season, personally, but there's nothing wrong with it. I fucking loved every episode, but I don't really understand why, if you liked any of the previous ones and you like Gen V season 1 as well, there's no reason not to like this season. So, but again, that's my point of view. Obviously, some people will like it, some people won't like it. But yeah, I loved it. I think it was really good. Excellent season.
Yeah.
I do.
So go on.
No, I was just going to say, just to reiterate, I don't think it's as strong as some of the other, not necessarily whole seasons, but there was a lot of better episodes in previous ones. Certain things that didn't make sense as well, but on the whole, really liked it.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to go into it in a bit more detail, but unfortunately we've run out of time. And if we weren't talking about Deadpool today, we probably would have been talking about that.
Definitely.
Night, to be fair. But yeah, I think I agree, broad strokes. I thought it was fine. I think it was sort of steering away from sort of like the more ludicrous, ridiculous stuff. It seemed a bit more grounded in its own reality. And yeah, I don't really have any problems with it. I'd go back and watch that season, no problem.
Oh yeah,
there's no weak point or high point in it. I just thought it was fairly solid all throughout. So that's the thing. The people who said that they're not into it, they can't really give me a reason as to why. It's just that they're just not feeling it.
The only thing that annoys me is we got to wait for the next one. It ended on a great episode.
It will be that will probably be the last season then, I reckon.
Yeah, they've already said season 5 will be the last season of The Boys. Whether Gen V carries on that is a different story. It was cool that we had, like, The Boys managed to make a better Venom movie in 4 minutes than 2 entire movies about Venom.
Yeah. What a mad episode that was, that last one.
I told you you were real.
No, you did. You absolutely called that. Yeah, you absolutely did.
Yeah.
But I think I said something about Venom, that it was like, if it's like if they do a Venom thing, like it's the weird tumor
like a Venom
thing.
parody.
Yeah, that's the Venom, because there's not been a Venom one yet. There's like a Spider-Man and whatever, and that's
fucking
kind of missing. I know, just shoots out his arse.
Like a real spider does.
I know, yeah, but that's why would he have a costume? What can you do with that?
I liked it though. I mean, I wouldn't have called it being the big chest monster that it was. But yeah.
Well, it's
pretty cool.
It's like Jeffrey Dean Morgan said, it's like super cancer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's the thing that kills you, it's pretty decent to have just in the background.
Well, it is, because then do we think that again, we'll go more into this. We'll do a specific episode for the boys. But then, is it still killing him? Because he looked pretty healthy when he walked in.
Oh, we did. But I think that's because he's like given up to it.
So he's going to be taking over him more.
Very much so, yeah. It'll be a Jeffrey Dean Morgan butcher rather than a Carl Urban butcher.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's just sort of like, he's given in to me because I know what needs to be done and I can actually fucking do it. So like, Newman, bulletproof. We've already seen that. She can take a beating. She gets ripped in half like she's nothing.
Yeah.
Which means that fucking super cancer tendrils thing, that's a real fucking threat. Like, he's permanently on the pitch now.
The thing with that, though, and I didn't think about this until you've literally just said it. So, like, he snaps Newman in half. And it's not like a biscuit. There's a little bit of pressure there before it happens. But he managed to do it to... Who was the preacher guy?
Yeah, Ezekiel.
The Reverend Ezekiel. But he's like Mr. Fantastic, so he's stretchy and made of rubber. He still managed to rip him up.
Yeah.
So that's how much power's in that, because...
Yeah.
Theoretically, he would have just been stretching, but he's done it until he's just all in fucking pieces.
Yeah.
So is it just that? Have we got like a full, more Venom-y suit-esque style thing where he's got the teeth and shred things up?
That'd be disgusting. Like a weird Venom cancer monster just tearing through firecracker or whatever, just like they're nothing.
That was funny though, where she's coughing. Just sit over there.
Yeah. No, further.
Fucking love Homeland.
It's like that's the thing, like, because he was like in the last season when Butcher fucking lasers him, and he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, and he's going to see him again now, and then he's just going to pick up someone like Firecracker or just rip her in half with his cancer powers, and he's just going to be like, what?
Yeah. Because
right.
He's kind of...
What now?
He's got used to the other V, hasn't he? So he knows V... Well, Butcher with powers is... He's got the super strength, he's got the lasers.
Yeah, he's not going to see that coming.
Yeah, but then there's, like you say, as someone... Especially someone like Homelander, who isn't... He's not trained in combat. Like, every fight he wins is just because I'm faster, I'm stronger. That's why he wins, and I think that's why they get the jump on him in the earlier seasons with... Even when it's just Huey and Butcher, they get the drop in because they're more trained in combat.
Well, Huey's not, but...
No, just within his time within the boys, I mean, like, he's learned how to he's known how to throw in a punch and everything else. Like, Homelander's never had to do anything like that. He just drops in, scares people, or lasers them, and that's it. Job done. But then, even with, like, Soldier Boy, who was trained, that's a Homelander that's trained and knows how to fight and blah, blah, blah. But... Maybe he has done some stuff, so if Butcher lasers me with this, I'll either laser him back or I'll just put my hand up and block it, or I'll do this or do that. But then for these just fucking tendril monsters to just appear out of nowhere, like you say, it's going to take him off guard, and it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I think I'll give him a proper battering before he has to bail out, because he's like, what the fuck, I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah. He goes to fly away and then it just pulls him back down again. And
yeah, it slams him into the wall. Yeah.
That's... looking forward to that. It's going to be like 2 years. But I was thinking, because I was like, it's going to be really shitty because we're going to have to wait a while for the next season of Boys. But we'll have a second season of Gen V, and we'll have a new season of Fallout before that.
Fallout as well?
So that's something to look forward to, Dan.
Interesting. God, Fallout was fucking good.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I want a second season. I want about 76 seasons of that.
I mean, we probably will the way it's going in terms of popularity and everything else, but
that's true.
We'll see. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there, Sunshine.
Yes.
Thank you for Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you thought about Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine. Sorry, I keep saying it the other way around. Wolverine and Deadpool.
I think that's just your ideal movie.
I mean, yeah, ideally, but yeah, it's very good. But if you want to go, if you haven't been to see it and you want to go looking all snazzy dazzy, you can head over to podcastversusplayer.com / PvP store, where you can get our Best Buds Deadpool Wolverine t-shirt, and it is available there. That's what I wore to go and see it, Dan.
Good for you.
I was going to put it on today, but it was black and it's fucking roasting and I've sweated a lot, so I put this shirt on.
Well, I'm wearing a black t-shirt at the moment, a specific t-shirt.
Look at that bad boy. Look at it. Does it feel all right?
It feels great.
Yeah.
It's a cat as a Klingon. It's Lieutenant Worf, Mutenant Worf, as I named him.
Yes.
That Callum got me for my birthday, which is just fucking incredible. I was genuinely pissing myself for about 10 minutes when I opened this, and I unraveled it perfectly as well, so it fell down.
Oh, that's
so good. Oh, it's so good.
All the nasty things you called me leading up to it, I was like, it's going to change his fucking mind when he opens it. I'm going to be the best person in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Thing is, I wanted to get you a different one, but that was the closest one to Beckett. Like, in terms of cats.
Yeah, unless you got a custom one that was...
That was the next thing I wanted to do.
A Cerritos uniform.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could get around it, I reckon.
But they were mostly like ginger cats and stuff. They were the majority of them. That was the closest one to a ragdoll. And then the next ideal thing was I'll just make a custom one. But I hadn't really got a lot of time and everything else, and so I was just like, I'll get this one. That can be it. And think for another day that one can. So
yeah, well,
glad you like
I'm sure she appreciates it as well. She's asleep on the windowsill at the moment because it's nice and cool over there.
Well, it's better than fucking cool over here. It's still 22 degrees, Dan, and it's 10 to 10 p.m.
Well, it is 21 here, luckily, which is certainly one thing.
A degree cooler.
Yeah. Apparently, Game Rant have just put up an article that PS5 gets a hefty price cut.
Ah. Is it
499?
So
it's dropped to $100, and the PSVR 2 has dropped by $200.
Yeah, I saw the PSVR 2. Yeah. So how much is the 5 drop to?
$399.99.
So it's still not that much fucking cheaper.
Well, it's £100 off, basically, isn't it?
Well, I paid $450 for mine.
Well, that's not too bad.
When I got it.
Well, that'll do.
Yeah. Regardless. You can go to podcastversusplayer.com, and it's all going along the bottom of the screen, but you can check out all the previous podcasts, spoiler casts, Let's Plays, game shows, and lots of other things. And we will see you on the next one. Hello, Beckett.
Girl.
So, get the fuck off it. His bright lights.
You're okay.
She's so pretty. Nah.
Big stinky. Off you pop.
As we're saying, see you on the next one. Bye.